Lu Ming, is that the young man who set Hukuei up? Wang Weigua corrected him. TSK. Watch your wording. What do you mean set him up? That was normal business competition. Zhang Guanghua flicked his cigarette ash onto the ground, his mind beginning to race. The core issue of that CCTV News report was the inflated investment promotion data. Out of $7.8 billion in letters of intent, the actual funds received were less than $100 million. The secretary had given him a 3-day deadline, not to conjure up $7.7 billion, but to come up with a plan that could silence public opinion and satisfy accountability from higher-ups. What kind of plan could do that? Real, hard investment data. Old Wang, can this Lu Ming fill this $7.8 billion hole? Oh, what are you thinking? He's no sucker. Zhang Guanghua tapped his forehead. The secretary's scolding has left me dazed. My point is, go find him and include his investment data in this year's investment promotion ledger. Then, have his subsequent investments go through your Bureau of Commerce. Once this is settled, you won't have to worry about your future targets. Right. Zhang Guanghua clapped his hands. That's exactly what I was thinking. Let's go, we'll go together. Don't be in such a hurry. Wang Weigua held Zhang Guanghua back. This kid Lu Ming isn't easy to deal with. He's got a tough temper and a mind of his own. He hates being used as a tool the most. If you go there acting all high and mighty as a director, you're guaranteed to get a cold shoulder. Then what should I do? Wang Weigua stood up and patted his pants. When you go, keep a low profile. Don't be like you were when receiving those investment delegations. Don't start painting grand pictures and making empty promises right off the bat. This kid is sharp. You can't fool him. At 9 o'clock the next morning, Wang Weigua called ahead of time. Lu Ming didn't refuse and suggested meeting in the conference room on the second floor of Xinqing Building. Zhang Guanghua changed his outfit. He didn't wear a suit, choosing a dark blue jacket instead to appear more easygoing and approachable. Before leaving, he adjusted his collar twice in the car's rearview mirror. It had been many years since he had taken the initiative to visit a private enterprise. Usually, it was the enterprises begging to see him. When the two arrived, Zhou Xiaoyan led them upstairs. The conference room door was open. Lu Ming sat at the head of a long table with a glass of plain water in front of him. Shunli sat to the side with a notebook in hand, and Lu Yuan was right next to her. Today was Zhao Yizhou's first day on the job. Wearing a clean white shirt, he sat to Lu Ming's right, flipping through the construction schedule for Wang Jiafu. Director Wang, Director Zhang, please have a seat. Lu Ming stood up and shook hands with both of them. When Zhang Guanghua shook hands, he subconsciously applied a bit more pressure. He sized up Lu Ming, young, even younger than he had imagined. The three took their seats, and Wang Weigua spoke first. Xiao Lu, old Zhang came today because he has something to discuss with you. I'll let him explain the details himself. Zhang Guanghua cleared his throat. President Lu, first of all, on behalf of the Bureau of Commerce, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you for returning to your hometown to invest. I should have visited you long ago, but I've been so busy lately that I simply couldn't get away. A standard official opening. Lu Ming waved his hand. Director Zhang, no need for pleasantries. Just tell me directly, what exactly brings you here today? Hearing this, Zhang Guanghua looked at Lu Ming, then at Wang Weigua. Wang Weigua closed his eyes and nodded, signaling him to speak plainly. Only then did Zhang Guanghua say, President Lu must have seen it too. Recently, there have been some inaccurate reports regarding our county's investment promotion work. Director Zhang, Lu Ming put down his water glass. Are you saying that CCTV is spreading rumors about you? Wang Weigua lowered his head to drink tea, pretending not to hear. The smile on Zhang Guanghua's face froze for a moment. He never expected Lu Ming to say that. No, President Lu, I phrased that poorly. At this point, Wang Weigua interjected, Old Zhang, just say what's on your mind. President Lu understands. Zhang Guanghua thought for a moment, then looked at Lu Yuan, Shun Li, and Zhao Yizhou, hesitating. Seeing this, Lu Ming said, Director Zhang, these are my core staff. They won't spread rumors. Zhang Guanghua nodded and then said, President Lu is right. There have indeed been oversights in our grassroots investment promotion work. Subjectively, we were too eager for success and inflated the data. Objectively, we do have our difficulties. On one hand, the Provincial Department of Commerce sets targets every year, and these targets increase annually. On the other hand, you've seen the current economic situation. Wang Weigua interrupted Zhang Guanghua. Old Zhang, President Liu, let me add a point. Objective reasons do exist, but we also need to exercise our subjective initiative. Before, investment promotion was difficult because many businessmen only made empty promises. Wang Weigua shifted the conversation and looked at Zhang Guanghua. It's different now. President Liu is back. A promising young man, a man of ambition, willing to build his hometown and with real, solid investments. Old Zhang, you're lucky to have come across this. Hearing this, Zhang Guanghua immediately stood up, refilled Lu Ming's glass, and said, Yes, Director Wang is right. In the future, I'll have to rely heavily on President Liu's help. Lu Ming observed everything. In terms of being slick, Wang Weigua was more than one level above Zhang Guanghua. How should I help? Zhang Guanghua pulled a form out of his briefcase and pushed it toward Lu Ming. This is the statistics table for the actual funds received for Yunmeng County's investment promotion this year. He pointed to the last row. As of now, the total actual funds received in the county are 86 million. Among them, Yunmeng Investment Company Limited's investment accounts for the largest share. Lu Ming glanced at the table, but didn't move. President Liu, I have two requests today. Zhang Guanghua leaned forward slightly. First, I hope Yunmeng Investment can cooperate with the Bureau of Commerce to do a formal investment filing, so we can include your already received funds in the county's investment promotion ledger. Second, he hesitated. Second, that is, your future investments will all be registered under the Bureau of Commerce. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair and tapped his fingers twice on the table. Director Zhang, the filing is no problem. It's a normal corporate obligation, and we will cooperate. Zhang Guanghua breathed a sigh of relief. But I have a condition. Zhang Guanghua's smile tightened again. Please go ahead, President Liu. Yunmeng Investment will have a large number of projects landing next, involving construction land, commercial filings, fire safety inspections, market supervision, and various other stages. Lu Ming looked at Zhang Guanghua. Since my future investments will be under your Bureau of Commerce, I need the Bureau of Commerce to take the lead in coordinating a cross-departmental green channel for me. In the future, my projects won't need to go from bureau to bureau. All approval matters should be unified, coordinated, and advanced by the Bureau of Commerce. Zhang Guanghua stunned. This request far exceeded his expectations. A cross-departmental green channel meant that the Bureau of Commerce would have to act as a coordinator among various departments like the Housing and Urban-Rural Development Bureau, Environmental Protection, Fire Safety, and Market Supervision. In such matters, rights and responsibilities are unclear. Not to mention offending people, the most critical issue was that the Bureau of Commerce didn't have a high enough rank. He knew all too well how deep the waters were in the county. Behind every gatekeeper, there were dozens of mouths waiting to be fed. Now, he was essentially being forced to shut those people's mouths. After thinking for a long time, Zhang Guanghua spoke. President Liu, this is a matter of great importance. I can't make the decision alone. We'll go back and have a meeting, and I'll give you an answer tonight. Lu Ming was eating a boxed lunch ordered by Shun Li in his office when Zhang Guanghua's call came in. President Liu, this is Zhang Guanghua. The meeting is over. Regarding the green channel you mentioned, the county has agreed in principle. Lu Ming wiped his mouth. Agreed in principle. Is that a yes or a no? There was a pause on the other end of the line. It's a yes. Zhang Guanghua's tone was much more steady than it had been during the day. However, the county has proposed a framework and would like to discuss the details with you in person. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, at your office again. Director Wang and I will come together, if that works. That works. After hanging up, Lu Ming sent the news to the workgroup chat. Lawyer Fang Yu replied 2 minutes later. I'll be there tomorrow too. Since they mentioned a framework, there will definitely be strings attached. The next morning at exactly 9 o'clock, Zhang Guanghua and Wang Weiguo arrived on time. This time, Zhang Guanghua wasn't wearing a jacket. He had changed back into dark trousers and a white shirt, with a party emblem pinned to his chest. The standard attire for formal occasions. In the meeting room, for people sat on Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming, Lawyer Fang Yu, Lu Yuan, and Shun Li. After taking their seats, Zhang Guanghua pulled a printed document from his briefcase, held together by a paperclip, and pushed it to the center of the table. President Liu, this is the preliminary plan formed at last night's meeting, titled Yunming County Key Enterprise Investment Service Coordination Mechanism, Trial. Lu Ming wasn't in a hurry to take it. Lawyer Fang Yu reached out and took it first. She flipped to the first page and scanned it line by line. Zhang Guanghua explained, "The core content is this. The Bureau of Commerce will lead the establishment of a special service team to interface with the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, Environmental Protection, Fire Safety, Market Supervision, Natural Resources, and other relevant departments. For any project under Yunming Investment, the service team will handle all approval matters, unified collection, unified assignment, unified follow-up, and unified feedback. The enterprise won't need to run to each department individually anymore." Lu Ming nodded. "What about the response time?" Zhang Guanghua flipped to the third page and pointed to a line. "Routine approval matters are to be completed within 5 working days. Special matters shall not exceed 15 working days. For those not completed past the deadline, the Bureau of Commerce will report directly to the Deputy County Magistrate in charge." After reading the 3 pages, Lawyer Fang Yu closed the file and looked up at Zhang Guanghua. "Director Zhang, Article 4 states, the service team has the right to require the enterprise to cooperate in providing business data and financial information. This scope is too broad. Business data is fine, but financial information involves core corporate secrets. Specific items must be clearly listed. We can't leave it open-ended." Zhang Guanghua looked at Wang Weiguo. Wang Weiguo, holding his teacup, gave a slight nod. "Lawyer Fang has a point. We'll revise this article when we get back." Zhang Guanghua took out a pen and circled it on the document. Lawyer Fang Yu continued, "Article 7. This mechanism applies to key enterprises with an annual investment exceeding 50 million yuan. This is fine, but I suggest adding a sentence. Enterprises already included in this mechanism shall not have their service eligibility unilaterally canceled, except due to the enterprise's own violations of laws or regulations." Zhang Guanghua drew another circle. Lu Ming didn't interject from beginning to end. Lawyer Fang Yu was a professional. This kind of tug-of-war over text could be left to her. 15 minutes later, Lawyer Fang Yu summarized the revision suggestions into 6 points, marking them one by one in the margins with her own pen. Zhang Guanghua recorded all of them. "President Liu, we'll have a revised version out within 3 days. After both parties confirm, we'll sign it formally and simultaneously report it to the county government for the record." Zhang Guanghua stood up and took the initiative to extend his hand. Lu Ming shook it. "Director Zhang is very efficient." Zhang Guanghua smiled. After seeing the 2 off, Lawyer Fang Yu kept the document and read it through once more. There aren't any major pitfalls. Zhang Guanghua was indeed spooked by that CCTV incident. There is sincerity here. Lawyer Fang Yu closed the file. However, the effectiveness of this coordination mechanism depends on how much importance the county leadership places on it. If only the Bureau of Commerce is pushing it, the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau and Environmental Protection might not necessarily play along. So we still need to go higher up. 3 p.m. Zhao Yizhou returned from the Wanjiafa construction site, carrying 2 file bags in his hand. He knocked twice on the doorframe, walked into Lu Ming's office, and placed the file bags on the desk. "President Liu, 2 things. First, I followed the entire construction progress of Wanjiafa today. Heming Yuan's team is reliable. The cold chain pipelines in the fresh food area have been laid, and the central air conditioning and fresh air system are being commissioned today. From the current look of things, finishing within a week won't be a problem." The second, Zhao Yizhou opened a file bag and pulled out a stack of A4 papers covered in tables and data. "I worked on this last night. the organizational structure and recruitment list for Wanjiafu before its opening. He pushed the first page over. With a volume of 12,000 square meters, operating under a composite model of a supermarket plus experience-based business formats, the full staff establishment is 160 people. It's divided into 8 departments: fresh food department, food and general merchandise department, daily chemicals and home textiles department, customer service center, cashier department, warehousing and logistics department, planning department, and logistics support department. Lu Ming scanned it. Each department was marked with a number of people, job responsibilities, and suggested salary ranges. Among them, the fresh food department and the customer service center are the top priorities. The fresh food department needs at least 20 experienced sorters and stockers. The customer service center needs 15 people, including after-sales handling, member services, and on-site shopping guides. Shinli walked over from next door. Having listened at the door for a while, she interjected at this point, "President Zhao, have you calculated how much the monthly salary cost for 160 people would be?" "I have." Zhao Yizhou flipped to the last page. Based on President Lu's instruction to set it 20% higher than the market average, the average monthly labor cost will be between 1.1 million and 1.3 million, including the 5 insurances and 1 housing fund, plus performance bonuses. Shunli sucked in a breath of cold air. Lu Ming didn't say a word. He picked up Zhao Yizhou's proposal and flipped through it from beginning to end, his finger pausing for 2 seconds on the column for direct sourcing from local farmers. "Have you opened up the direct sourcing channels?" "It's in progress," Zhao Yizhou said. "There are large-scale vegetable planting bases and breeding farms in 3 townships around Yunmeng County. I've already contacted 2 of them and reached a preliminary intent. But the largest one, called Fengyuan Agricultural Cooperative, is somewhat hesitant. They worked with several supermarkets in the county town before, and in the end, they were all subjected to very long payment cycles. The longest outstanding payment was delayed for 8 months, so they're now quite resistant to supermarket channels. Tell them that I don't have payment cycles here. Cash on delivery." Zhao Yizhou nodded without saying much more. He packed up the file bags, walked to the door, and then turned back. "President Lu, one more thing. A store manager and a fresh food supervisor I used to lead in Shenzhen both got back to me last night. They have concerns. Add money. Add until they have no more concerns." Just then his phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Lu Ming answered it. "Hello. Is this President Lu? I'm Xiao Zheng from the County Party Committee office. Secretary Sun just finished a meeting and specifically instructed me to contact you. He's very interested in your return to your hometown to start a business and would like to invite you to come to his office tomorrow morning to sit down, have a cup of tea, and chat about our Yunmeng County's development." As soon as these words were spoken, the office instantly fell silent. Shunli stood to the side, her eyes wide open. "Secretary Sun?" "The top leader of Yunmeng County." Lu Ming's eyes flickered slightly, but his tone remained as calm as water. "I'm available." "What time?" 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. 3rd floor of the County Party Committee compound. "Good, I'll be there on time." As soon as Lu Ming reached the 1st floor lobby, a young man wearing a white shirt and black-rimmed glasses came forward to meet him. "President Lu, right? I am Xiao Zheng." "Hello, Director Zheng." Lu Ming nodded. "Secretary Sun is waiting for you upstairs. Follow me." Xiao Zheng spoke very quickly and walked with long strides. The 2 of them went up to the 3rd floor. "Come in." A deep, thick male voice came from inside. Opening the door, it was an office that wasn't very spacious. Against the wall was a row of wooden cabinets filled with documents and books on party history, and in front of the window was an old brown desk. Sun Changming sat behind the desk. He was in his early 50s, his sideburns were slightly gray, and he wore a dark jacket without any brand logos, zipped up to his chest. Seeing Lu Ming enter, he put down the internal reference newspaper in his hand and pointed to the single sofa opposite him. "Have a seat." Lu Ming wasn't ill at ease. He walked over and sat down steadily. Sun Changming picked up the electric kettle on the coffee table, scalded 2 white porcelain cups with boiling water, pinched a handful of tea leaves into them, and poured the water from a height. "Zhang Guanghua went to see you yesterday, didn't he?" Sun Changming pushed a cup of tea in front of Lu Ming, not beating around the bush and getting straight to the point. He did. Director Zhang was very candid. If he wasn't candid at this stage, he wouldn't want that official hat anymore. Sun Changming leaned back against the sofa, looking at Lu Ming with a calm gaze. An intent agreement for 7.8 billion, but less than 100 million actually arrived. This happened in Yunmeng County. It's embarrassing, but it's also the truth. Nowadays, in grassroots investment promotion, 9 out of 10 are just drawing big pies, and for the remaining one, the government even has to throw in land and tax breaks. Lu Ming put down his teacup. So Director Zhang hopes to merge Yunmeng Investments data into the accounts to solve the urgent problem. Sun Changming smiled, a smile tinged with a bit of helplessness. Xiao Lu, you're 25 years old, you've stayed in Shanghai, and you've seen the world. How do you see Yunmeng County's current economy? This was a grand proposition. If it were an ordinary businessman, they would probably start singing praises at this moment, talking at length about how superior the business environment was. But Lu Ming didn't. A pool of stagnant water. Sun Changming paused for a moment. Go on. Yunmeng County itself has lost the ability to create wealth. Lu Ming had done a lot of homework. In recent years, the factories in the county have either collapsed or stopped production. There are no pillar industries and no blood-making capability. The entire county town has a population of 600,000, but it's actually being kept alive by 2 blood vessels. Which 2? One is fiscal funds. Doctors, teachers, civil servants, and employees of public institutions. The salaries of these tens of thousands of people are the basic consumption base of the county town. The second is the hard-earned money of migrant workers. Hundreds of thousands of Yunmeng County people work in the Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta all year round, sending the money they earn back home during festivals to support the elderly and raise children. Lu Ming paused for a moment and looked Sun Changming in the eye. Apart from these 2 sums of money, the county town itself doesn't produce any surplus wealth. You see things very clearly. Sun Changming flicked his cigarette ash. But in recent years, the county town's GDP data has been rising, and the real estate in the new city district is still selling very well. That's false prosperity. Lu Ming punctured the illusion without mercy. Real estate is the biggest blood pump. Why do young people buy houses in the county town? Most of them don't do it to live there. Lu Ming turned his head and looked out the window. From this angle, he could just see those towering, densely packed residential buildings in the new city district. They work outside and can't come back more than a few times a year. But why do they buy? To give their parents an explanation, to have a bargaining chip for blind dates and marriage. Once the house is bought, it sits as a rough shell or is simply decorated and is only lived in for those few days during the spring festival. The county town has become a giant left-behind station. Reinforced concrete has locked up the future consumption power of the young and drained the retirement savings of the older generation. Lu Ming turned back and looked directly at Sun Changming. This model has reached its end. Sun Changming fell silent. As the top leader of the county party committee, he knew these accounts better than anyone. Yunmeng County was like a bloated patient, its internal qi and blood already depleted. Every day he opened his eyes, he faced engineering payments that couldn't be issued, urban investment debts that couldn't be repaid, and increasingly dry tax sources. But he didn't expect a 25-year-old young man to poke through this layer of paper so neatly and so bloodily. Sun Changming's gaze became sharp. Since you understand it so thoroughly, and businessmen all seek profit, in a county town with no consumption potential like this, you're smashing so much money into high-standard service industries. This doesn't fit business logic. Lu Ming picked up his teacup and took a sip. Secretary's son, it's precisely because the county town doesn't create wealth that I want to break this dead cycle. Lu Ming put down his cup. Simply throwing money around is useless. What I want to do is establish a local microeconomic cycle. Lu Ming leaned forward slightly. In recent years, the higher-ups have been promoting consumption and stimulating domestic demand, issuing consumption vouchers every so often. I think none of that is as practical as directly increasing income. When income is high, they will naturally go to consume. With consumption, the economy can truly become active. Only then can industries live. When industries are alive, wealth can truly stay on this land. Sun Changming listened quietly. He had been the county head for 6 years and the secretary for 3 years. In these 9 years, he had heard the grand blueprints of countless entrepreneurs. Some wanted to do new energy, some wanted high-tech, some wanted cultural tourism and healthcare. But what those people's eyes were fixed on were government subsidies, cheap land, and bank loans. Only this young man in front of him had his eyes fixed on people. Good. Sun Changming suddenly spoke. The youth has boldness, drive, and vision. However, Sun Changming's tone shifted. The forces in the county town are deeply intertwined, with you and me and you. Especially in a coal resource-based county like ours. Most people have friendships spanning generations. You can't touch them. One move affects everything. In your future work, you must be discreet. Lu Ming heard a hint of a warning in these words. Secretary Sun, in my view, many things go wrong precisely because of these intertwinings. Without a great determination to cut the flesh and scoop out the sores, the county town will forever be a pool of stagnant water, unable to raise any waves. Sun Changming narrowed his eyes and stared at Lu Ming for a long time before speaking. I understand what you mean, but our starting points are different. How about this? From now on, feel free to do as you wish, and I will give you the maximum support within the rules. These words were already very blunt. Out of consideration for the stability of the overall situation, Sun Changming would not offend any forces for Lu Ming's sake. Lu Ming hadn't intended to get any substantive promises from Sun Changming anyway, as long as he didn't secretly obstruct him for the sake of other forces. Then many thanks to Secretary Sunday. Sun Changming waved his hand. It's within my duty. Lu Ming smiled. Secretary Sun, I have one more presumptuous request. Wanjiafu is scheduled to open on the 8th day of the 3rd lunar month, which is a week from now. I specifically invite you to cut the ribbon for the opening of Wanjiafu. Would your schedule permit it? Sun Changming flipped through the calendar on his desk. I can. I have time. When Lu Ming came out of the county party committee compound, he happened to run into a traffic policeman putting a ticket on a car. Lu Ming quickly stepped forward. Officer, don't post it yet. I'll drive away immediately. The traffic policeman smiled slightly. Too late. With that, he issued a fine, tucked it directly into the Maybach's window, then hopped on his motorcycle and left coolly. After leaving, the traffic policeman sent a voice message to Hu Kuei. Brother Hu, I've been waiting for days and finally caught Lu Ming's car. I just gave him a ticket. Hu Kuei replied instantly. Where did you ticket it? Traffic policeman. At the entrance of the county party committee compound. Shenli was taken aback. Weren't you going to talk business with the secretary? How did you manage to come back with a ticket? Lu Yuan, in the next room, heard this and poked her head through the doorway. Whose subordinate is so valiant? Shenli snurta. It's most likely Hu Kuei's doing. Since he can't win in business, he uses these kinds of tactics to annoy people. Sigh. Lu Ming waved his hand. Don't talk nonsense without evidence. The priority right now is for you to find me a driver as soon as possible. If there's someone in the car, he won't be able to issue a ticket. Shenli nodded. The driver position is quite important. They need to be familiar with the roads, understand social etiquette, and be tight-lipped. I've interviewed several rounds and haven't been satisfied yet. Then cast a wider net. Don't limit yourself to recruitment apps. Introductions from relatives and friends are fine too, Lu Ming instructed. Wanjiafu's opening date was set for the 8th day of the 3rd lunar month, 6 days from now. Zhao Yizhou was pulling out a preparation list for Wanjiafu. It had over 40 items, ranging from product procurement to staff training, from cash register system debugging to opening event planning. Each item was marked with a person in charge and a deadline. At 2 p.m., Zhao Yizhou convened the first all-staff preparation meeting in the conference room. In attendance, besides Lu Ming, Shun Li, and Lu Yuan, were 8 newly recruited department supervisors. Of these 8 people, 3 were local, and 5 had returned from out of town. Among them, the fresh food department supervisor was named Zhou Hai, 35 years old. He had previously worked in fresh food procurement at Dennis in Zhengzhou for 8 years. He was laid off last month and took the initiative to submit his resume after seeing the report in the provincial newspaper. Zhao Yizhou stood in front of a whiteboard, holding a marker in his hand. 6 days until opening. Time is tight, so I'll only focus on the key points. He wrote 3 words on the whiteboard: goods, people, venue. Goods. The supply chain for fresh products must be fully established within 3 days. Zhou, how are the talks going with Fengyuan Cooperative? Zhou stood up. I went there yesterday afternoon. The owner's surname is Sun, and his attitude has softened quite a bit. Following Mr. Liu's request, I promised cash on delivery, and he basically agreed to supply vegetables. However, he set one condition. We need to prepay 1 month's worth of goods as a security deposit, which is about 120,000 yuan. Approved. Lu Ming decided immediately. Lu Yuan noted down this expenditure beside him without saying much. Zhao Yizhou continued. People. Out of 160 positions, 93 are currently filled, leaving a gap of 67. Manager Shun, can the recruitment keep up? Shun Li opened her notebook. Online submissions are still coming in, but there really aren't many experienced retail talents. I suggest using temporary workers to fill the gaps before the opening, while also launching school enterprise cooperation to bring in interns from the county's vocational and technical school. That's fine, but temporary workers must undergo at least 2 days of pre-job training. Service standards cannot be compromised. Zhao Yizhou drew a circle on the whiteboard. If even one customer has a bad experience on opening day and posts it online, all our early promotion will be for nothing. Lu Ming chimed in. As for the training, Mr. Zhao, you oversee it personally. Zhao Yizhou nodded. Venue. Heming Yuan's team promised to finish within 5 days. I went to the construction site this morning, and the progress is fine, but there are 2 details that need confirmation. Zhao Yizhou opened the photos on his phone and projected them onto the conference room TV. First, the greeting area at the entrance. The original design was a brand wall, but I suggest changing it to a local agricultural product display stand. Use physical displays instead of advertisements, so customers see Yunming County's local products as soon as they walk in. Second, the children's play area on the 2nd floor. The equipment has arrived, but installation takes 2 days, so the timing is very tight. The children's area is the top priority, Lu Ming said. In the consumption scenarios of a county town, bringing children shopping is the biggest traffic entry point. When a mother brings her child, the child plays upstairs while the mother shops downstairs. This closed loop must be established. Zhao Yizhou wrote children's area, highest priority, on the whiteboard and framed it with a red pen. The meeting lasted 40 minutes. And Zhao Yizhou assigned every task to specific individuals, accurate down to the hour. After the meeting adjourned, Lu Ming called out to Zhao Yizhou. Any news from the people in Shenzhen? Zhao Yizhou pulled his phone from his pocket and pulled up a chat log. Store manager, He replied to me last night. He's willing to come, but he's asking for a monthly salary of no less than 20,000. Fresh food supervisor Wang Fong is still hesitating. Her husband has a job in Shenzhen, and it's not very convenient to move the whole family. He's salary is no problem. Set it at 25,000 directly. As for Wang Fong, what does her husband do? It seems he works in logistics scheduling. Ask him if he's willing to come along. Wang Jiafu's warehouse and logistics department is still missing a supervisor. Zhao Yizhou glanced at Lu Ming, said nothing, and lowered his head to send message. Poaching one person wasn't enough. He wanted to uproot them all. Zhao Yizhou had seen this tactic many times at Yonghui, but it was usually a move used by big companies against small ones. Lu Ming was doing the opposite, poaching people from a first-tier city to a fifth-tier county, relying not on a platform, but on cold, hard cash. Lu Ming walked into the office. Zhao Yizhou was sitting on the sofa, making a call. Right, Yunming County in southern Hunan. Don't use navigation to search for Yonghui's supplier list. I'll send you a list of local direct procurement channels. Connect with the vegetable and fruit categories first. You negotiate the prices yourself. After hanging up, Zhao Yizhou saw Lu Ming enter and stood up. The matter with Fengyuan Cooperative is settled. Hearing that we pay in cash, the owner personally drove over with 2 crates of samples. The vegetable quality is good, a grade higher than the wholesale market. And the price? 15% cheaper than the wholesale market, and we've bypassed the middlemen. The key is the freshness. From being picked in the field to being on the shelf, it's under 4 hours. Lu Ming sat down, watching the sky darken outside the window. In 6 days, Wanjiafa would officially open. A 12,000 square meter supermarket, 160 employees, dozens of suppliers, and tens of thousands of SKUs. In 6 days, every link had to mesh perfectly. Mr. Zhao, have you simulated the customer flow for the opening day? Zhao Yizhou pulled a folded floor plan from the side of the sofa armrest and spread it out on the coffee table. I've simulated it 3 times. The entrance is at the southeast corner. Customers will pass through the fruit section first upon entering. The category with the strongest visual impact is placed at the very front. Then come vegetables, meat, and aquatic products. The flow is circular, finally merging into the daily chemicals and general merchandise area, with the checkout counters located at the northwest corner exit. He traced a circle on the map with his finger. I estimate 1,000 to 1,500 people in the store at peak times. I've set up a guidance post at each of the 3 corners to prevent congestion. Lu Ming looked at the floor plan and nodded. At this moment, Shunli walked over with a document in her hand. Mr. Liu, the invitations for Wanjiafa's opening are printed, 60 in total. Leaders of the counties form major bodies, directors of various bureaus, media reporters, and several major growers from the surrounding townships. What about Lin Shi from the provincial newspaper? Send it too. She replied, saying she'll come. Lu Ming took the invitations and flipped through them, suddenly saying, what about Hu Kuei? Was one sent to him? Shunli was stunned. Send one. Whether he comes or not is his business. Shunli opened her mouth, swallowed the words she was about to say, and turned to go upstairs to make the arrangements. It was a red card with gold foil stamping. The center read, Grand Opening of Wanjiafu Shopping Plaza, with the time and location below. In the bottom left corner, a line of small text said, Special Guest, Mr. Hu Kuei. He flipped the invitation over. The back was blank and clean. There were no extra words. This is fucking crossing the line. Hu Kuei slammed the invitation onto the desk, the gold powder rubbing off onto his fingertips. His assistant stood at the door, not daring to enter. The assistant whispered, Mr. Hu, Lu Ming is clearly trying to rub salt in the wound. Are we going or not? Go to hell with him. Hu Kuei grabbed the invitation, tore it in half, then into quarters, and threw it into the ashtray. Gold powder drifted across the desk. The 8th day of the 3rd lunar month. A rare sunny day emerged in Yunmeng County. At 8 a.m., in the square in front of Wanjiafa Shopping Plaza, a 20-meter-long red inflatable arch stood in the center, flanked by colorful flags and balloons. A red carpet was laid out on the ground, stretching from the main entrance all the way to the parking lot entrance. Shunli wore a black blazer with her hair tied in a ponytail. She stood behind the check-in desk, cross-referencing the guest list one by one. Zhao Yizhou was conducting a final inspection inside the supermarket. All 12 checkout lanes were open. Beside each lane stood a shopping guide in a uniform blue work outfit, with a name tag pinned to their chest that read, Wanjiafu Service with Heart. All the lights in the fresh produce area were on. The neatly arranged fruits and vegetables in the refrigerated display cases were as bright and vivid as a painting. Zhou Hai personally oversaw the last batch of fresh fish being put on display. The live fish splashed in the tanks, droplets of water landing on his apron. At 8:40 a.m., the first official vehicle arrived. Director of Finance Bureau Wang Weiguis stepped out of the car, followed by Zhang Guanghua. Zhang Guanghua was wearing a navy blue suit today, his party emblem polished to a shine, and he wore a professional smile. Manager Shun, we aren't late, are we? Shunli went to meet them. Not at all. You're just in time. This way, please, directors. Tea has already been prepared. At 8:50 a.m., by Chongwon from the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau arrived. Soon after, Director Ma from the Natural Resources Bureau, Director Zheng from the Market Supervision Bureau, the Education Bureau, the Health Commission, one official vehicle after another parked in the square. Car doors opened and closed, and the sound of leather shoes on a red carpet was constant. Zhou Yin followed behind Director Ma. As he passed Lu Ming, he gave him a thumbs up. 8:55 a.m. A black Audi A6 slowly drove into the square. The driver got out and opened the rear door. Sun Changming stepped out. He was still wearing that same administrative jacket he had on when Lu Ming went to see him. His steps were steady, and he carried a natural air of authority. Everyone in the square went silent for a moment. The county party secretary personally coming to cut the ribbon. This was something that hadn't happened in Yunming County's commercial events for many years. Lu Ming quickly stepped forward to meet him. Secretary Sun, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to visit. Sun Changming shook Lu Ming's hand. His eyes scanned the setup in the square, and without much pleasantry, he simply said, "You've done a good job." 9 a.m. sharp. The ribbon-cutting ceremony officially began. Lu Ming and Sun Changming were in the center, with Wang Weiguo, Zhang Guanghua, and Bai Chongwen lined up on either side. The 6 of them stood in a row, each holding a pair of gold-plated scissors. Lin Shi, a reporter for the provincial newspaper, carried her camera and crouched in front to frame the shot. 3 local social media bloggers held up their phones to live stream the entire event, with comments scrolling rapidly across their screens. 3, 2, 1. Snip! The red silk ribbon was severed, its 2 halves fluttering down onto the red carpet. Applause broke out. The sound of firecrackers followed immediately, exploding in the square as white paper scraps danced in the air. Sun Changming took the microphone and gave a brief speech. Yunming County welcomes every entrepreneur willing to take root locally and benefit the people. The opening of Wanjiafu is not just the opening of a supermarket, but a beneficial experiment for our county's internal economic circulation. He paused and looked at Lu Ming. I hope Wanjiafu can live up to its name, bringing blessings to 10,000 families. As he finished, the applause grew even louder. Lu Ming took the microphone and said only one sentence. The doors of Wanjiafu will always be open to the elders and fellow villagers of Yunming County. Welcome, everyone. The moment the doors opened, the long-waiting crowd surged inside. Zhao Yizhou had promoted the opening event on WeChat Moments and TikTok in advance. 20% off all fresh produce, and the first 100 customers get a tray of eggs for free. This had caused a stir in the county town. Elderly residents had been queuing outside the square since 6 in the morning, the line wrapping all the way around the parking lot. By 9:30 a.m., the flow of people inside the supermarket had reached saturation. The fresh produce area on the first floor was packed to the point of being impassable. Fresh strawberries were piled into pyramids, glowing red, and the line at the nearby tasting station was 20 people deep. The live fish section was even more chaotic, with several elderly men squatting in front of the water tanks, picking out fish as if they were at a country fair. Screams and laughter from children came from the play area on the second floor, while several young mothers stood outside the fence taking photos to post on their moments. Lu Ming stood on the second-floor walkway, overlooking the entire first-floor hall. It was a sea of heads, and long queues had formed at the checkout counters. Zhao Yizhou's walkie-talkie was ringing nonstop as he patrolled the floor while directing and coordinating. Open the express lane at checkout counter number 3. Customers with 5 items or fewer come this way. Restock the fresh produce area. The strawberries are almost gone. Shunli walked up to Lu Ming, her voice full of excitement. Looking at the numbers, I did a rough count. It's over 2,000. Lu Ming leaned his hands on the railing of the walkway, his gaze sweeping over the dense crowd below. A month ago, this building was a half-dead mess. Now, it was bustling with people. This first step of the population plan had finally been taken. Zhao Yizhou walked over, his walkie-talkie temporarily clipped to his waist. He also glanced downstairs and took a deep breath. The first day is important, but what's more important is the repeat purchase rate in a week. He paused and added in a much softer voice than before. But to be honest, it's better than I expected. Accompanied by Lu Ming, Sun Changming took a tour of the first floor. He stopped for a moment at the door of the mother and baby room, looking at the constant temperature water dispenser and the infant care table inside. He didn't say anything, but gave a slight nod. You put thought into this. Hardware is one aspect, but the subsequent service must also keep up. Lu Ming replied, Absolutely, absolutely. Just at this incredibly lively moment, there was a sudden pop. All the lights went out simultaneously. The checkout screens went black. The hum of the refrigerated cases cut out. The central air conditioning overhead stopped running, and even the background music came to an abrupt halt. The entire Wanjiafa shopping plaza was plunged into darkness. The crowd was silent for a second, then a wave of exclamations broke out. What happened? A power outage. Oh my God, it's pitch black, don't push. Where's my child? My child is on the second floor. Zhao Yizhou immediately picked up his walkie-talkie. All posts, attention. Activate the emergency plan. Use flashlights to guide the evacuation. Suspend transactions at the checkout counters. Security personnel, get to your positions at each exit. Lu Ming pulled out his phone and, right in front of Sun Changming, dialed the duty number for the power supply company. Hello, this is Wanjiafu Shopping Plaza. We just lost power across the whole building. What's the situation? There was a rustling of paper on the other end of the line for a while before a reply came. Hello, today is a peak electricity usage period. The distribution capacity in your area is insufficient, and the transformer has tripped due to overload. We will arrange for personnel to go over for repairs as soon as possible. The estimated restoration time is uncertain. Peak usage? On the 8th day of the 3rd lunar month, when spring is in full bloom. And at 10 o'clock on a weekday morning, Sun Changming's face turned ashen. He pulled out his phone and dialed the number for Su Changhong of the Power Supply Bureau. Wanjiafu has insufficient power distribution. Give me an explanation. Cries of children drifted from the second-floor children's area, half drowned out by the urgent comforting of their parents. Zhao Yizhou had already gone through the emergency procedures over the walkie-talkie. Security personnel guarded the 4 exits. All checkout counters were suspended, and stockers fanned out to the entrance of each aisle to guide the crowd and prevent pushing and tripping in the dark. Lu Ming stood next to Sun Changming, the light from his phone screen reflecting on his face. A circle of people surrounded them. Wang Weiguo, Zhang Guanghua, Bai Chongwen, Director Ma, 3 local self-media bloggers holding up phones for live streaming, and Lin Shi carrying her camera. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth between Sun Changming and Lu Ming. No one spoke, but everyone was waiting for an answer. Just then, Sun Changming's phone rang. Kayiride, Suchan Rainbow. Secretary Sun, we've investigated. Someone applied for temporary maintenance in the Wanjiafu area this morning. The maintenance order said routine inspection, and it was approved by the shift supervisor at the dispatch center. But in reality, this feeder line just had its annual inspection yesterday. It didn't need a second one at all. Secretary Sun, I was completely unaware of this. How long to restore power? Arrangements have been made. 10 minutes at the fastest. 5 minutes. Sun Changming hung up and put the phone in his pocket. He turned around and glanced at the several directors gathered around him. He didn't explain the contents of the call to anyone, only saying, What are you all standing here for? Go help maintain order. We absolutely cannot have a stampede. Wang Weiguo was the first to react, pulling Zhang Guanghua toward the checkouts. Bai Chongwen hesitated for a second before following. Sun Changming looked at Lu Ming. He said nothing. Lu Ming didn't ask about the cause of the power outage. There was no need. All coincidences in this world are deliberately arranged by someone. But now is not the time to investigate. In the first-floor hall, panic was spreading. A few older women were shouting at the top of their lungs, and several young mothers holding children were squeezed at the exit, their faces full of anxiety. The 3 self-media bloggers pointed their phone cameras at the crowd, and the comment sections were already exploding. A power outage on Wanjiafu's opening day. What's going on? If a few people get trampled to death, things will really get lively. The secretary's call was very effective. 3 minutes later, with a hum, the lights throughout the venue came on. The lights of the entire Wanjiafu were restored simultaneously. The freezers began to hum again, and background music flowed from the speakers. The crowd let out a cheer, followed immediately by a large number of people preparing to leave, fearing another outage. Anyone would have a headache encountering this on opening day. But crisis, within danger lies opportunity. Lu Ming said to Sun Changming, "Secretary Sun, wait a moment." Then he turned and went to the control console, picking up the microphone. "Fellow townsfolk, valued customers. I am Lu Ming, the person in charge of Wanjiafu. The power outage just now was a temporary fault in the power supply line. Today is our first day of opening. This situation occurred because our preparations were insufficient. I apologize to everyone." He paused for a second. "Therefore, I have decided that every customer present today, whether you bought something or not, can go to the service desk to receive a 500 yuan Wanjiafa shopping card. No minimum spend, no expiration date." The hall instantly went silent. The people who had just reached the door stopped in their tracks. An older woman in front of the control console asked, "Young man, are you for real?" Lu Ming smiled. "It's true, Annie." Then he turned to Zhao Yizhou and said, "Notify the customer service center to immediately start the shopping card distribution procedure. Prepare them based on the number of registered entries. If there aren't enough, write manual vouchers on site and stamp them with the official seal to make them valid." Zhao Yizhou was stunned for a moment. 500 yuan per card, with over 2,000 people present. That meant giving away over 1,000,000 yuan. But he only hesitated for a second. "Understood." Zhao Yizhou picked up the walkie-talkie. "Customer Service Center, take note. Initiate emergency shopping card distribution. 500 yuan denomination. No minimum spend, no expiration. Prepare enough for the number of people on site. Manual vouchers are valid simultaneously with seal and signature." The voice of the customer service supervisor on the other end of the radio cracked. "Manager Zhao, did you say 500? "Confirmed." The crowd began to buzz. 500 yuan? For real. This boss is generous. Even if we don't buy anything. A young mother with a child turned back from the exit and led her child toward the service desk. The several older women who had been clamoring for refunds just now looked at each other, stopped shouting, and joined the back of the line. The cameras of the 3 self-media bloggers all swiveled toward the service desk. The direction of the comments changed instantly. "Awesome. Now that's class. The county town's paying Dong Lai, for sure. 500 yuan, sisters. Come to Wanjiafa, quick." Lin, she wasn't live streaming, but she held up her camera and quickly pressed the shutter. The image of Lu Ming standing before the service desk, with the crowd lining up for shopping cards in the background and light hitting him from below, had a strange sense of drama. Shunli ran down from the second floor, out of breath. "President Lu, over 1,000,000 yuan. Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Lu Ming handed her the megaphone. "Go to the broadcast room. Repeat it every 5 minutes. Tell everyone not to push. There's enough for everyone." Shunli opened her mouth to speak, but didn't ask further. She took the megaphone and headed to the broadcast room. Lu Yuan had also made her way to the first floor at some point. "Brother, we haven't made a cent yet. It's the first day of opening, and you've already thrown in over 1,000,000. If I don't throw in this 1,000,000, who will ever come back?" Lu Yuan glanced at him, said no more, and turned to go to the service desk to help with the stamping. Upstairs, seeing Lu Ming's grand vision and knowing that his future investments would be credited to the Bureau of Commerce, Zhang Guanghua's posture straightened. He said to Sun Changming, "Secretary Sun, President Lu has a great vision and real guts." Sun Changming didn't respond, only staring at him. Seeing this, Wang Weigua quickly nudged Zhang Guanghua a few times, signaling him to stop talking. By this time, Su Changhong had also squeezed through the crowd, running all the way. Seeing Lu Ming, he asked hurriedly, "You're Lu Ming, President Lu, right? Where's Secretary Sun?" Lu Ming frowned and asked, "And you are?" "Oh, Su Changhong from the Power Supply Bureau." "So your director, Su?" Lu Ming stepped out from the control console. "Shouldn't you first ask how I handled this matter?" Su Changhong panted. We'll talk about that in a moment. In a moment. At this point, Sun Changming also came downstairs with a group of directors. Director Su, your work efficiency is quite high. Hearing this, Su Changhong quickly turned around. Secretary Sun, I didn't know today's event was of such high specifications. We were indeed underprepared in terms of power supply security. Oh, Sun Changming asked. What do you mean by prepared if the specifications are high, but not if they're low? Director Su, since when did your power supply standards and timing start being based on specifications? No. Su Changhong waved his hands in panic. Secretary Sun, that's not what I meant. I meant that if I had known you were here, I would have checked all the circuits in advance to ensure full protection. Sun Changming stepped closer to Su Changhong, emphasizing every word. Director Su, do I really have such an imposing official air? He had worked in power supply for 20 years. There wasn't a situation he hadn't seen. But today's spectacle had completely exceeded his predictions. In the past, the highest-ranking officials at a ribbon-cutting ceremony were the county magistrate. Having the secretary present was truly a first. If he had known, forget about the maintenance work order, he would have personally climbed up and cleared out every bird's nest on that feeder line. Secretary Sun, this matter was indeed a lapse in our internal management. I will definitely conduct a strict investigation when I return and give you an explanation. Give me an explanation? Sun Changming interrupted him. The person you should be giving an explanation to isn't me. Sun Changming stepped aside, revealing Lu Ming behind him. Su Changhong followed Sun Changming's gaze and finally took a proper look at this young man. He was too young, but there was a ruthlessness in his bones, not a sinister kind, but the kind of ruthlessness that refuses to suffer in silence. Mr. Lu, I'm sorry. This matter today has caused you trouble. Su Changhong proactively extended his hand. The hand was extended, but Lu Ming didn't take it. Su Changhong's hand froze in midair. Beside them, Wang Weiguo lowered his head. Zhang Guanghua turned to look at the spotlights on the ceiling, and Bai Chongwen simply took out his phone and pretended to reply to messages. Director Su, Lu Ming spoke. You didn't just cause me trouble. Su Changhong withdrew his hand and wiped it against the seam of his trousers. As you saw, on the first day of opening, over 2,000 consumers were frightened by the power outage, which nearly resulted in a stampede. Lu Ming spoke word by word. Secretary Sun was present, the directors of various bureaus were present, and reporters from the provincial newspaper were also present. If a stampede had occurred, how would this have ended? Su Hanong's eyelid twitched. This, I'll tell you how it would end. The worst-case scenario, it would be reported to the higher-ups. I would bear the economic losses for Wanjiafu, but as for the safety responsibility for the stampede, not a single person present would escape it. Su Changhong waved his hands frantically. No, that wouldn't happen. Mainly, I wasn't aware of this matter beforehand. Unaware. Lu Ming interrupted him. Then that means you've been sidelined. As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere immediately became awkward. Sun Changming spoke up. Director Su, go back and pull up your operation logs, identify the responsible party, and issue the necessary punishments. Such an incident must never be allowed to happen again. Su Changhong repeatedly agreed. Understood. Seeing Sun Changming smooth things over, Lu Ming didn't dwell on the matter excessively and instead said, Director Su, to appease the customers' emotions, I gave everyone a 500 yuan shopping card. Over 2,000 people. Lu Ming looked at him. Help me calculate how much money that is. Su Changhong opened his mouth, but couldn't say it. Beside him, Lu Yuan answered for him. As of now, 2,137 cards have been issued, totaling 1,068,500 yuan. Su Changhong's Adam's apple bobbed. Over 1 million. Lu Ming shoved his hands into his pockets. And that's just the direct cost of the shopping cards. The freezers were without power for 20 minutes. The losses in the fresh food section haven't even been tallied yet. After the checkout system reboots, the data will need to be checked entry by entry, and labor costs are separate. Furthermore, Lu Ming pointed toward the second-floor corridor. 3 self-media outlets were live streaming the whole time, and the comment section was filled with curses. Director Sue, how much do you think this negative public sentiment is worth to the Wanjiafa brand? Su Changhong couldn't say a single word. What he wanted to do most right now was open his phone to see exactly who had approved that maintenance work order, then twist that person's head off and kick it like a ball. Sun Changming stood 2 steps away, his gaze scanning back and forth between Su Changhong and Lu Ming, without interjecting. Director Sue, I'm not an unreasonable person. Lu Ming withdrew his hand. But this $1 million+ has been spent, and no one knows what the follow-up effect will be. With things turning out like this on the very first day of opening, I don't know how much consumer confidence is left in Wanjiafu. Lu Ming paused for 2 seconds. Someone has to foot the bill for this. Su Changhong's back was already soaked. He quickly calculated in his mind. Pay compensation? Over 1 million yuan? You gotta be kidding. He was the director of the Power Supply Bureau, not a bank president. How could he come up with that kind of money? He turned to look at Sun Changming. Sun Changming didn't speak, only gesturing for him to listen to Lu Ming. Mr. Lu, tell me what to do, and I'll cooperate. Su Changhong gritted his teeth. Lu Ming turned back, his voice dropping half a pitch. Director Su, I don't want to blow this out of proportion either. If it gets big, it's bad for everyone. But regarding that maintenance work order just now, I need the person directly responsible in your disciplinary results. Su Changhong let out a long sigh of relief. As long as he didn't have to pay out of pocket, it was fine. That is absolutely no problem. Within 3 working days, the results will definitely be publicized. Lu Ming gave a cold snort. 3 working days? Tomorrow. Lu Ming nodded. And one more thing. Su Changhong's heart, which had just settled, leaped into his throat again. With one hand in his pocket, Lu Ming pointed at the supermarket with the other. I'm a businessman. On my opening day, over 1 million yuan vanished in a thin air. I'm not asking you for compensation, but the Power Supply Bureau must have employee welfare procurement during holidays, right? Mid-Autumn Festival, National Day, Dragon Boat Festival, rice, flour, oil, dried fruit gift boxes, toiletries. All of that procurement will be placed with Wanjiafu from now on. Su Changhong was stunned. This request was too cunning. The Power Supply Bureau was one of the wealthiest units in the county. With over 400 people in the entire system, holiday welfare procurement was a stable and significant order. In the past, this money always flowed to a few suppliers within a fixed network of connections, or to convenience stores run by certain directors' wives. Now, Lu Ming wanted to pry this opening toward Wanjiafu. Su Changhong instinctively looked at Sun Changming. Sun Changming crushed the paper cup, threw it into the nearby trash can, and said, Old Su, it's their first day of opening. Because of your mistake, they had to shell out over 1 million to clean up the mess. I think Mr. Lu's request is very reasonable. Su Changhong didn't respond. Sun Changming nodded. Mr. Lu, listed on the government procurement website. The procedure must be compliant. Lu Ming nodded. Since things had reached this point, Su Changhong couldn't say anything more. Mr. Lu, I agree to both matters. Only then did Lu Ming extend his hand. Su Changhong hurried to shake it, his palm covered in sweat. Director Su, it's a pleasure doing business with you. Lu Ming released his hand. Sun Changming didn't stay any longer. He only patted Lu Ming on the shoulder before leaving, saying nothing. The car door closed, and the black Audi drove out of the plaza. Su Changhong watched the secretary's car disappear around the corner. He stood there dazed for several seconds before taking out his phone and dialing a number. Hello, dispatch center. That maintenance work order from this morning. Who approved it? Investigate it. Investigate it now, and give me an answer within 10 minutes. There will be a general meeting in half an hour. Whoever made this mess will clean it up. He thought for a moment, then added in a lowered voice. Also, from now on, do not pick up any calls from Hu Kuei's side. Over at Hu Kuei's end, he never imagined that the situation would develop this way. It completely exceeded his expectations. The plan had been executed perfectly. The power had indeed gone out, and the scene had indeed descended into panic. But there were 2 things he hadn't anticipated. First, Sun Changming was present. Second, Lu Ming had shelled out over 1 million to pacify the crowd, and instead of losing face, He had actually won over public opinion. Hu Kuei dialed the number of the person at the dispatch center. It was powered off. He called again. Still powered off. At that moment, his wife was curled up on the sofa, scrolling through short videos. On the screen, footage of Wang Jiafu's grand opening was playing, with Lu Ming standing in the middle of the crowd holding a microphone, while a dense stream of comments scrolled across the screen. Hu Kuei glanced at it. Turn the sound off. His wife looked up at him, but didn't move. Hu Kuei strode over in 3 steps, snatched the phone from her, and threw it onto the sofa cushion. Damn it. I said turn it off. His wife shrank back, picked up the phone, and muted it. The more Hu Kuei thought about it, the angrier he became. He picked up his phone and dialed Su Changhong. Director Su, about what happened today? Huh? What do you mean don't contact you again? Director Su, we've had a relationship for so many years. Director Su, hello? Director Su. His wife watched all of this unfold. She didn't understand the ins and outs of the business world, but she could smell when a man was starting to go downhill better than anyone else. During those years at the Zhengzhou auto shows, she had seen too many bosses go from being surrounded by hangers-on to being ignored by everyone, and the signs were always the same. More and more people stopped answering their calls. She turned, went into the bedroom, and locked the door behind her. Sitting in front of the vanity, she opened her phone and watched the video of Wang Jiafu's opening again. At 11 p.m., Zhao Yizhou tallied the revenue for the opening day. He printed 2 copies of the report, keeping one for the files and taking the other to Lu Ming's office. Lu Ming took it and glanced over it. Daily foot traffic, 4,700 visitors. Daily revenue, 836,000 yuan. The fresh produce section accounted for the highest share at 40%. Next were daily necessities and general merchandise at 30%, with the rest distributed among snacks, home textiles, and children's products. Average transaction value, 178 yuan. How's that level? Lu Ming asked. Zhao Yizhou leaned against the doorframe with his arms crossed. For a supermarket in a county town, that's a very high average transaction value. He paused. Yunmeng County is a 5th-tier county town. 830,000 on the first day of opening. After deducting the redemption of shopping cards, the actual cash inflow is around 600,000. Lu Ming nodded. There's one more thing, Zhao Yizhou said. When I was inspecting this afternoon, I noticed that some sales clerks still had a poor attitude. What do you mean? In the fresh produce section, when customers asked to round down the price at the weighing station, our clerks were very rigid. They completely disregarded the customer's feelings and didn't explain it tactfully. Then let's round it down, Lu Ming said. I remember Pang Donglai rounds down prices too. It fits their consumption habits. Okay, Zhao Yizhou nodded. I'll make this official policy. Also, we need to conduct attitude training for the employees, establishing it as a long-term system with an extra hour of training after work every day. That's feasible. Lu Ming thought for a moment. However, make sure the overtime pay is sufficient. No pas de overtime. Give them double pay. Don't let the employees feel like the training is a punishment. The next day, at noon, Shunli walked in carrying a boxed lunch and handed her phone to Lu Ming. Take a look at TikTok. On the screen was a short video that had already surpassed 500,000 views. The footage was the scene from yesterday after the power outage at Wang Jiafu, where Lu Ming held a microphone and announced the distribution of shopping carts. It was filmed by a customer on site. The angle was crooked and the audio wasn't clear, but the comments section had exploded. This boss is truly generous, giving away over $1 million just like that. Yunmeng County actually has a place like this? It's my hometown. He actually treats people like human beings. I'm working in Shenzhen, and after watching this, I want to go back. What should I do? Confirmed by the look in his eyes, he's Pang Donglai's brother in spirit. Shunli pointed to a comment. Look at this one. It has the most likes. The comment read, I was there on site yesterday. I received a shopping card and went back today to buy 200 yuan worth of stuff. That supermarket is really different from before. The restrooms are cleaner than my own bedroom. Someone replied below, is clean restrooms enough? Your standards are way too low. The original commenter retorted, go there and you'll know. Lu Ming handed the phone back to Shun Li without saying anything. Reputation is something that can't be bought no matter how much you spend on advertising, but a clean restroom can earn it. As of 9 a.m. this morning, the total number of views for the related short videos across the internet is very high, with positive feedback accounting for over 90%. Negative comments are mainly focused on hype and stunt, but the number is very small, and they are basically drowned out by positive comments. Lu Ming said, "Keep an eye on the public opinion, but don't try to guide it deliberately. Don't delete the negative comments either. Let the users hash it out themselves." Shen Li Nudda. There's one more thing. This morning, Wanjiafa's foot traffic was 40% higher than the same time yesterday. Many people drove in specifically from surrounding towns after scrolling through the short videos. Zhao Yizhou said that people who didn't get a shopping cart yesterday came running today to ask if there were any left. Lu Ming looked up. "Tell Zhao Yizhou that the shopping cards are limited to the customers who were there yesterday. We won't issue more, but for new customers who come to the store today, they can register as members and get a 100 yuan new user voucher." Shunli made note of it and turned to leave. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a short rest. The phone rang. It was Director Ma from the Land Bureau. "President Lu, congratulations, congratulations. Wanjiafu's opening was packed. You've gotten off to a great start. Thank you for thinking of me, Director Ma. There's a matter. Hu Kuei backed out of the auction for that plot of land in Shilapu. That guy is truly unreliable. I wanted to ask you, what's the reserve price?" The reserve price remains unchanged at 24 million, and this time, there are no competitors. "No problem." Lu Ming thought for a moment and said, "However, I'll need to pay this 24 million in installments." Installments? On the other end of the line, Director Ma was stunned. Was this still the style of the Cash King of Yunmeng County? "Yes, installments." Lu Ming said, "Director Ma, you know that Wanjiafu has just opened. The business is spread thin, and money is being spent everywhere. We even had a power outage during the opening yesterday, and just pacifying the customers cost over $1 million. Fortunately, Director Su is reasonable and said that from now on, the Power Supply Bureau's holiday welfare procurement will be handled by Wanjiafu, which will help us recoup some funds." How could Director Ma not understand the subtext in Lu Ming's words? "President Lu, I was just about to talk to you about this. Our Land Bureau also intends to change our procurement channels. Since you're a local enterprise, I will naturally support you." "Director Ma, that's not what I meant at all," Lu Ming said. "This is what I mean. The previous supplier had high prices, low volume, and delayed deliveries, so this works out perfectly." "All right then," Lu Ming replied. "Then I will respectfully accept. Then regarding that plot of land in Shilapu, go ahead and list it for auction. I'll buy it." Lu Ming put down the phone, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. Lu Yuan poked her head in, her expression somewhat subtle. "Brother," Zhou Xiaoyan said, "someone is downstairs looking for you." "Who?" "Hu Kuei's wife." In the sofa area of the first-floor lobby, a young woman in a beige trench coat sat with a Chanel chain bag on her lap, her makeup exquisite. Zhou Xiaoyan stood behind the front desk, her face filled with awkwardness. Lu Ming recognized the face. She was the woman in the bank's signing room who had been slapped by Hu Kuei and forced to sign documents while trembling. "Mr. Lu," the woman said, standing up and clutching the straps of her bag with both hands. "Hello, Mrs. Hu." Lu Ming didn't step forward, staying on the last step of the stairs. "My surname is Li Man." She corrected the form of address. "I'm not here today to deliver a message for Hu Kuei. I came on my own." Lu Ming nodded. Xiaoyan, pour a glass of water. He didn't take her upstairs, but instead walked over to a reception table in a corner of the first-floor lobby and sat down. The spot was directly across from the front desk and the main entrance, with a view of the square outside through the floor-to-ceiling windows. No matter how bad things got between him and Hu Kuei, the woman before him was still Hu Kuei's wife. Lu Ming still had that much sense of propriety. Li Man sat opposite him and placed her bag on the table. "Mr. Lu, let me make one thing clear. I'm not here to plead for mercy, nor am I here to negotiate terms," Li Man said in a low voice. Hu Kuei doesn't know I'm here. Then what are you here for? Li Man looked down at her hands, thought for a moment, then looked up at Lu Ming. I want to divorce Hu Kuei. Lu Ming didn't show any surprise. What does that have to do with me? Mr. Lu, I've been married to Hu Kuei for 2 years, and we have no children. That villa in Shishan Mansion is in my name, but he has now mortgaged it to the bank. He slapped me in front of 2 bank loan officers and forced me to sign. Lu Ming picked up his water glass, but didn't drink. Mrs. Hu Li Man, MS. Li Man, you didn't come here today just to complain about Hu Kuei, did you? Li Man was momentarily stunned. There are indeed 2 things I need Mr. Lu's help with. Lu Ming gestured for her to continue. I want to ask you to help me find a lawyer to handle the divorce cleanly and sort out the assets. You can perfectly well find a lawyer yourself. No, Li Man interrupted. In Yunmen County, there's only one lawyer who dares to take a divorce case against Hu Kuei. Lu Ming asked, Lawyer Fang Yu? Yes. Li Man nodded. Other lawyers are afraid of Hu Kuei's retaliation and simply don't dare to take it. Then you could just go find Lawyer Fang Yu yourself. There's no need to go through me. Hearing this, Li Man sighed. Mr. Lu, you probably don't know that Lawyer Fang Yu hasn't taken civil litigation cases for many years. I don't know what methods you use to hire her as your legal counsel, but Hu Kuei has complained to me about it many times. He couldn't even get her for 500,000 a year. Lu Ming didn't dwell on the topic. Tell me the second thing first. The second thing is that after the divorce, I want to stay in Yunmen County, and I'll need a job. Lu Ming asked, why not go back to Zhengzhou? I can't go back. Li Man shook her head. That was never really my home. What do you mean? Aren't you from Zhengzhou? My parents divorced when I was very young. My mother remarried, and my father spent all day drinking and gambling. No one wanted me. I was raised by my grandmother. She passed away the year before last, and my father didn't even hold a funeral for her. Lu Ming didn't respond. He understood that people from poor backgrounds didn't have many choices, and every step was like walking on a knife's edge. Li Man continued, after the divorce, Hu Kuei will likely retaliate. He said more than once that if I make him angry again, he'll sell me to Myanmar. He's truly capable of it. So, after your divorce, you're looking for asylum with me? Yes. Li Man nodded. What are your skills? I worked as an auto show model agent in Zhengzhou for 3 years. I managed the schedules, business connections, and payment settlements for over a dozen girls. Lu Ming was taken aback. I have no plans to organize auto shows for the time being. Hearing this, Li Man looked around, leaned forward, and lowered her voice. Mr. Lu, those dozen or so girls can do more than just be car models. Go on. You've heard of Zhengzhou's Pear Blossom Show, right? No. Oh. Li Man was a bit surprised, but she didn't dwell on it. It's a top-tier high-end club in Zhengzhou. The girls under me have top-tier looks, temperament, and adaptability. They wouldn't be out of place in any venue. Lu Ming was actually a bit intrigued by this. His original intention in having Chan Sitian investigate entertainment venues was to prepare for entering the entertainment industry. A large city can't do without nightlife. The pressures of the city need a release. Of course, not the traditional nightclubs involving power for sex or money for sex transactions, but a true entertainment complex, new forms like live houses, music festivals, and one-stop entertainment hubs that are more diverse and experience-oriented. Lu Ming didn't say anything. He didn't like people like Li Man who trimmed their sails to the wind, but personal dislike aside, her logic was sound. If Hu Kuei fell and she didn't run, was she supposed to stay and wait to be beaten? How about this? Lu Ming said after a moment's thought. I'll have a word with Lawyer Fang Yu. You can ask her to be your lawyer for the divorce. As for a job, we'll talk about that after your divorce is finalized. Then I'll take that as a yes. Li Man asked. No. Lu Ming waved his hand. Don't think like that. I only said we'd talk. Don't make working here a prerequisite for your divorce. I never instigated your divorce from Hu Kuei. But Hu Kuei is bound to find out that I came to see you secretly. If I go back now, he'll beat me to death. Lu Ming glanced at the bag she had placed on the table. It was bulging, looking like it held more than just a phone and lipstick. You didn't plan on going back before you even came here, did you? Li Man didn't deny it. Lu Ming sighed. You're something else. He beats you every day, yet you could stay with him for 2 years. With it just for the money, and for the status of being the boss's wife. Li Man made no attempt to hide her thoughts. I just want to be the sister-in-law. As for who the big brother is, I don't care. Lu Ming looked at her for 2 seconds and suddenly chuckled. The words were crude, but the logic wasn't. At least she was much more straightforward than those who talked about feelings while calculating house ownership in their heads. Since no one was talking about feelings, things were actually easier to handle. This kind of exchange of interests, a transaction untainted by emotion, was the cleanest and easiest to control. I'm not the big brother you're looking for. Between us, there's only an exchange of equal value. Lu Ming stood up. Go find lawyer Fang Yu. While the divorce is pending, you can stay at her law firm for now. Li Man also stood up, clutching her bag straps. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say thank you. But then she felt the words were too light, and, in the end, she said nothing. She turned and walked out of the lobby, the back of her beige trench coat disappearing into the sunlight outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. Zhou Xiaoyan whispered, Mr. Liu, is this person reliable? Lu Ming didn't answer. He picked up the untasted glass of water from the table and poured it into a nearby potted plant. On Hu Kuei's side, he couldn't find Li Man and was going crazy with rage. She wasn't answering calls or replying to WeChat messages. In all these years, this was the first time a woman had dared to treat him like this. Damn it, still haven't found her. You bunch of useless trash. An assistant walked over tremulously. Mr. Hu, there's news. Where is she? Sister-in-law went to... Are you mute? Where did she go? Speak. She went to see Lu Ming. What did she go to see Lu Ming for? Hu Kuei's voice squeezed through his teeth. Speak. I am not sure. Our people only saw the sister-in-law enter Xinqing building. She stayed for about 40 minutes, and then she didn't go home. She went straight to Zhengxin Law Firm. Zhengxin Law Firm? Hu Kuei froze for 2 seconds. Zhengxin Law Firm, lawyer Fang Yu. He suddenly understood. That bitch wants to divorce me. Hu Kuei kicked over the coffee table, shattering glass all over the floor. Call the men. Follow me to Xinqing building. Mr. Hu, shouldn't we calm down first? We just suffered a setback at Lu Ming's place. My damn family is falling apart. Calm down my ass. 3 p.m. In the plaza of Xinqing building, a white Land Rover braked sharply at the entrance, its tires dragging a black mark across the floor tiles. The car door was pushed open, and Hu Kuei stepped out. 2 men followed behind him. One was his assistant, and the other was the foreman from his building materials market warehouse, a broad-shouldered man with a thick gold chain around his neck. The receptionist, Zhou Xiaoyan, saw this display through the floor-to-ceiling window and stood up instinctively. Hu Kuei pushed the door open, scanned the lobby, and walked straight toward the stairs. Sir, do you have an appointment? Zhou Xiaoyan blocked the stairs. Hu Kuei ignored her and walked up step by step. Zhou Xiaoyan panicked. President Liu, someone is forcing their way in. Let him up. Hu Kuei reached the second-floor corridor and pushed open the door to Lu Ming's office. Lu Ming was sitting behind his desk with a document spread out in front of him, pen in hand, signing it. Shunli was sitting in a chair to the side. Her notebook was closed, and her gaze was alert. Mr. Hu, long time no see. Lu Ming didn't even look up. Lu Ming, where's my wife? Your wife. Lu Ming looked up and thought seriously for 2 seconds. That has nothing to do with me, does it? Stop playing dumb with me. Hu Kuei stepped forward, leaning over the desk with both hands. Li Man came to see you this morning. What did she say? Lu Ming set his pen on the desk and leaned back in his chair. Mr. Hu, your wife came to see me. I didn't go to see her. It's not quite appropriate to direct this anger at me. Mr. Hu, Lu Ming took a bottle of mineral water from a drawer and pushed it across the desk. Have some water and calm down. I have 2 questions for you. Hu Kuei didn't touch the water. First, why did your wife run away? Hu Kuei's face turned shade of blue-green. He knew the answer, but he wouldn't admit it. Second, if she stays by your side, can you keep her? Hu Kuei gritted his teeth, his muscles tensed. Lu Ming stood up, walked around the desk, and stood in front of Hu Kuei. Only a single step separated the two. Mr. Hu, between you and me, business is business. I don't bully people. But regarding your family matters, if I may be blunt, they are outside my jurisdiction. Cut the crap. Hu Kuei pointed a finger at Lu Ming's face. If you don't hand her over today, what will you do? Lu Ming didn't back down. He just looked at Hu Kuei. Normally, Hu Kuei would have already made a move, but now he didn't dare. Mainly because he couldn't beat Lu Ming in a fight. The young and strong prevail. Hu Kuei's hand slowly lowered. Lu Ming, don't push your luck. His voice was hoarse. Mr. Hu, I'm not pushing my luck. Lu Ming sat back down behind his desk. I'm not involved in your wife's affairs. It was her own choice to go to Lawyer Fong Yu, and whether Lawyer Fong Yu takes the case is Lawyer Fong Yu's business. If you want to resolve family matters, do it at home. Don't come here to make a scene. Hu Kuei stared at Lu Ming for a few seconds before turning to leave. At the door, he looked back. Lu Ming, are you really going to take things this far? I'm not the one taking things too far. When you cut the power to my Wang Jiafu, did you think about the consequences? The door slammed shut with great force, making the calendar on the wall shake. Shunli let out a long breath, sat back in her chair, and patted her chest. That scared me to death. What's there to be afraid of? Lu Ming unscrewed the bottle of mineral water he had pushed over earlier and took a sip himself. He doesn't dare to do anything. Shenli azitata. Are we really going to get involved in Li Man's business? Lu Ming didn't answer directly. He picked up his phone and sent a message to Lawyer Fong Yu. Did Li Man get to your place? Lawyer Fong Yu replied instantly. She's here. She cried for half an hour and just quieted down. Are you taking her case? Lawyer Fong Yu took about a dozen seconds to reply. The fact that you pushed her to me proves she's useful to you. For your sake, I'll take it. But let's be clear. This is a purely civil representation, and she has to pay the legal fees as normal. Fair. I'll treat you to dinner later. After a moment, Lawyer Fong Yu replied, Fine, then I'll pick the place. Lu Ming smiled and replied, Wang Dafa said before that you never accept dinner invitations? Lawyer Fong Yu replied instantly, If you don't want to treat me, you don't have to. I can just not eat. Lu Ming put down his phone and looked at Shunli. Also, how is Chun Sitian's progress on scouting the entertainment venues? Shunli opened her phone's memo. She visited 11 places in 2 days, 6 KTVs, 3 bathhouses, and 2 nightclubs. She sent a preliminary report at noon today, but I haven't had time to show you yet. Send it to me. The data for Wang Jiafu's first week of operation was already compiled on the desk. Zhao Yizhou sent the reports at 11 p.m. every night without fail. 7-day cumulative foot traffic, 28,000 visits. 7-day cumulative revenue, 5.12 million. Average daily repurchase rate, 34%. Zhao Yizhou attached a note at the end of the report. The repurchase rate exceeded expectations. Fresh produce is the core driver. Customers from the 3 surrounding townships account for 22%. I suggest launching a delivery service to cover the surrounding areas as soon as possible. Lu Ming flipped the report to the last page, which had a handwritten paragraph from Zhao Yizhou. Currently, Wang Jiafu has a total of 147 employees, of which 31 are people who returned from out of town to join, and 19 are family members who relocated with them. Lu Ming stared at these numbers for 2 seconds. 31 people returning for employment, plus 19 relocating family members, 50 people. It wasn't many, but this was the first batch. Added to that were some workers from He Ming Yuan's renovation team who had settled into temporary housing locally, old employees who returned after Chongqing Wood Industry resumed work, and a few entrepreneurs who returned after the provincial newspaper's report. Adding these people together, the number should be more than 50. Just then, the long-absent mechanical notification sound rang in his mind. Ding! Change in the county's permanent resident population detected. Current registered permanent population of Yunmeng County, 600,461. New registrations compared to last month, 214. System reward base adjusted. Tomorrow's disbursement will increase by 0.03%. Reminder, when the permanent population exceeds 1 million, the system will trigger a comprehensive upgrade. Current progress, 60.1%. Keep it up. Zhao Yizhou posted the assessment results of the second round of employee training into the work group. Out of 147 employees on duty, the assessment pass rate was 91%. Among the 13 who failed, 9 were due to attitude problems, and 4 were due to lack of business proficiency. Zhao Yizhou gave them one chance to retake the test, with a re-evaluation in 3 days. If they failed again, they would be advised to resign. Lu Ming replied, "Don't advise them to resign. If it really doesn't work, transfer them to a different post." Except for illegal acts or causing a severe negative impact, Wang Jiafu will not actively dismiss any employee. Receive. The training content wasn't complicated, consisting of 4 rules in total. First, when a customer comes within a 3-meter range of sight, you must smile and nod. Second, for weighing items, you can round down the change, but you must proactively inform the customer how much was rounded off so they are aware. Third, when encountering returns or exchanges, apologize first and then handle it without asking for the reason. Fourth, at any post and at any time, playing with mobile phones is not allowed. The 4 rules were written on A4 paper and posted on the wall of every department in the largest font size possible. Zhao Yizhou personally supervised 3 rounds of night training, each lasting 2 hours, with double overtime pay. A cashier muttered privately, "It's not like we're at Hadaleo, why all these tricks?" The next day, she was called to Zhao Yizhou's office for a 15-minute talk and hasn't said a word since she came out. The effect was immediate. On the 12th day of opening, a short video went viral on the local TikTok page for Yunmeng County. The person filming was a young mother with a 3-year-old child. She filmed a tour of the mother and baby room on the 2nd floor of Wang Jiafu, a constant temperature water dispenser, a baby care table, and independent breastfeeding rooms. Finally, the camera focused on a female clerk in a blue uniform at the door. The clerk squatted down, helped her fix the brake clip on the stroller, and casually used a wet wipe to clean a pacifier that had fallen on the ground before returning it to the child. There was no dialogue throughout the entire process. The first comment under the video, "I thought only Pang Donglai had this kind of service." 3,400 likes. The second comment, "The young girl at the checkout will proactively help you put heavy things at the bottom and light things on top, saying she's afraid of crushing the bread." The third comment, "El Mayo, I asked for a price at the Liga supermarket across the street, and the cashier didn't even look up." The fourth comment was even harsher. "Liga's security guards crack melon seeds on duty, while Wang Jiafu's security guards hold umbrellas for customers on rainy days." With a monthly salary difference of 2,500, that's the gap. The comments section became a battlefield. But on Wang Jiafu's side, no guidance was needed. Once word of mouth forms momentum, it's like a stone rolling downhill. No one can stop it. 2 weeks after opening, the average daily customer flow stabilized at 3,500 people, a step down from the peak on opening day. But Zhao Yizhou wasn't worried. He cared about another number, the 7-day repurchase rate for the fresh food category, which was 41%. What does that mean? Lu Ming asked him. It means at least 40% of customers came more than twice within a week and bought fresh food every time. Zhao Yizhou closed the report. Fresh food is a traffic driver. When customers come to buy vegetables, they pick up daily necessities as well. This cross-selling rate is currently 67%. I've never seen it this high even at Yonghui. And the reason? First, the freshness truly crushes the wholesale market. That 4-hour shelf stocking from Fengyuan Cooperative isn't just talk. Second, the rounding off system builds goodwill. When seniors buy vegetables and get a few cents rounded off, that feeling of being respected makes them ignore a price difference of 20 cents at the supermarket next door. Third, Zhao Yizhou paused for a moment. Third, the salary is high enough that the employees have no resentment. This was the truth. Wang Jiafu's base salary was 5,000. This figure wouldn't mean much in Shenzhen, but in Yunmeng County, it was like dropping a bomb. The average base salary in the retail industry in Yunmeng County was 2,300 to 2,500 for cashiers, 2,200 for stockers, and 1,800 for cleaners. During holidays, they might get a box of instant noodles or 2 bottles of oil, and whether there was a year-end bonus depended entirely on the boss's mood. Wang Jiafu directly doubled the base salary, paid the full 5 insurances and 1 fund, offered quarterly performance pay after the probation period, and allowed participation in year-end profit sharing. Overtime was paid double, and training counted as working hours. Most importantly, before the salary system was promulgated, Lu Ming temporarily added a clause. Based on employee preference, they could freely choose between weekly, monthly, or annual pay. Is that supermarket of yours still hiring? This was the question Wang Jiafu employees were asked most often by relatives and friends lately. In Shun Li's recruitment system, more than 500 resumes were already piled up waiting for interviews. They weren't just from Yunmeng County. People from neighboring counties, the next city, and even some who specifically rushed over from Zhengzhou were there. Shun Li's hands were sore from screening them. The high salaries brought more than just a talent siphon. There was also a side effect that Zhao Yizhou hadn't anticipated. Wang Jiafu's employees began to spend money in the county town. Young employees who chose the weekly pay system spent most of the wages they received each week on consumption within the county. Business for a small portion of local restaurants, clothing stores, fruit stalls, and barbershops began to improve. The spending power of 147 people is limited, but the families behind those 147 people are not. Lu Ming had previously discussed a viewpoint with Zhao Yizhou. It's not that people in county towns don't have money to spend, it's that they don't dare to spend. Low income is one aspect, but more deadly is the lack of expectations for future income. If you get paid today, but don't know if you'll have a job next month, who dares to spend? Wang Jiafu was different. Even the most entry-level employee had an annual income of at least 60,000 yuan, and it was extremely stable. Lu Ming watched the daily fine-tuning of population data in the system, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. This was the microcirculation he wanted. Money shouldn't just transfer between system accounts and construction sites. It needs to flow into the pockets of the common people, then from their pockets into the shops on the street, from the shops to the suppliers, and from the suppliers to the farmers. With every flow, one more person becomes willing to stay here. However, everything has its pros and cons. On the 18th day of Wang Jiafu's opening, the local competitors could no longer sit still. There were 4 large-scale supermarkets in Yunmeng County: Ligu, Zhejiu, Haiyuduo, and Huimin. The 4 of them combined were about the same size as Wang Jiafu, but looking at any one of them individually, they were left 3 blocks behind in terms of area, display, or the cleanliness of the restrooms. The first one who couldn't sit still was Zhao Datsai, the boss of Liga Supermarket. His most profitable fresh food section used to have a daily turnover of 20,000, but now it couldn't even reach 10,000. Zhao Datsai took a walk around Wang Jiafu, and when he came back, his face was ashen. Wang Jiafu's base salary was 5,000, with performance pay calculated separately and year-end bonuses. His cashiers only earned 2,500. If he followed suit and raised wages, with 4 stores and 120 people, his labor costs would increase by 300,000 every month. Raising salaries was equivalent to carving up his own profits. And if he didn't raise them, it would be a slow death. Zhao Datsai slammed 3 resignation letters onto the table. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got, so he picked up his phone and dialed a number. "Old Lu, how's the situation on your end?" Lu Quan, the boss of Haiyuduo, answered the phone and sighed. "Don't even mention it. 5 people left this month, all heading for Wang Jiafu. I can't even fill the cashier shifts." Zhao Datsai thudded his thermos on the table. "It's all Wang Jiafu's fault. Giving a base salary of 5,000. Can you even make that back? This isn't doing business. This is using money to smash the market. He wants to kill us off first and then monopolize it. When that time comes, he'll raise prices however he wants." Young people don't follow the right path. They learn some internet tactics online and use them against us old brothers. Lu Quan was silent for a moment on the other end. "Then what do you say we do?" Zhao Datsai was silent for a while. "Old Lu, Do you remember that Retail Industry Self-Discipline Association, the Industrial and Commercial Bureau, took the lead in setting up the year before last? Back then, only the four of us signed up. I remember, we paid 2,000 yuan in membership fees, and there's been no news since then. Now it's time for it to move. Convene a meeting of the association. 3 days later, Lu Ming received a call from the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Is this President Liu of Wanjiafu? Yes, who are you? I am Zheng Zhanyong from the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. We have received a report about you from an industry association. What report? The general content is quite extensive, but to summarize it in one sentence, it says Wanjiafu offers salaries to grassroots employees that far exceed industry standards, which is not conducive to employee struggle, and requests relevant departments to intervene, investigate, and order a rectification. This is a good thing, Lu Ming said. Zheng Zhanyong didn't seem to hear him and continued talking to himself. President Liu, to be honest with you, we receive many reports like this every year. Most of them are just competitors trying to trip each other up. They don't have much practical significance. How much salary is paid is a matter of a company's independent operation. As long as it's not lower than the minimum standard, we have no power to interfere. I'm just following the process here by giving you a call to notify you so that you're aware. Wait a minute. What did you just say? What good thing? Lu Ming smiled. It's nothing. Director Zheng, can I have a copy of that report material? Zheng Zhanyong was stunned for a moment. What do you want this for? Just to keep on file. All right then, send someone over to pick it up. Lu Ming hung up the phone, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. The four little ones joining forces to hunt the great white shark. Shenli was standing at the door and had overheard the gist of the conversation. Should we have lawyer Fang Yu intervene? No need. Lu Ming stood up and walked to the window. In the square downstairs, 2 delivery tricycles were driving toward Wanjiafu, stacked with crates of bottled water. Shenli, tell me, if an enterprise pays high salaries to its employees and is reported by its peers for not being conducive to employee struggle, where do you think the netizens will stand if this news gets out? Shenli crossed her arms, her mouth slowly spreading into a grin. You want to leak this? It's not me leaking it. Lu Ming shoved his hands into his pockets and leaned against the window frame. They handed the knife handle to us themselves. Should I call Lin Shi from the provincial newspaper? Shenli thought about it. Lu Ming shook his head. Don't bother the official media with this kind of thing. Just find a few self-media accounts to do it. Shenli picked up her bag to leave, but turned back at the door. President Liu, should we inform President Zhao about this? If people ask Wanjiafu about it, tell President Zhao to operate as usual. Don't respond to anyone who asks. Let the facts speak for themselves. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Shenli returned from the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. She placed the materials on Lu Ming's desk. Lu Ming picked them up and read them from beginning to end. The report was written across 2 pages in a long-winded manner. The core argument was simple. Wanjiafu was paying its grassroots employee salaries far exceeding the industry standard, which disrupted the normal labor order of the retail industry in this county. At the bottom, the names of 4 supermarkets were lined up, complete with signatures and official seals. Find some self-media accounts and post photos of this document. No guidance added? None. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair. Post the original text as is. Don't change a single word. Shenli picked up the materials and turned to leave. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, the top local self-media account, Yunming Big Sister, was the first to post an update. Headline: 4 supermarkets jointly report Wanjiafu. Paying employees high salaries is not conducive to employee struggle. The attached photo was a copy of that report material, with the signatures and official seals clearly visible. Half an hour later, another local account, Southern Hunanjia, followed up with a repost using a more blunt headline. Yunming County supermarket owners are desperate. Peer salaries too high, suggest rectification. The comments section exploded quickly. Am I seeing this right? High salaries are not conducive to struggle. Classic capitalist quote. High pay is bad for struggle. Suggest promoting this nationwide. From now on, bosses shouldn't pay salaries at all, Just let employees generate power with love. Laughing my head off, reporting someone else for paying high salaries? To be able to write such a report letter, they're truly talented. In less than an hour, another local gossip account, Yunming Whistleblower King, followed the trend and reposted it, with comments directly breaking 3,000. Immediately after, someone took a screenshot and posted on Weibo. It was then reposted by a financial blogger with 1 million followers who added a line. It's 2026, and some people still think paying employees high salaries is a crime. I suggest criminalizing the reporters instead. By 8 o'clock in the evening, the hashtag hype not conducive to employee struggle hashtag was already on the local trending list. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Zhao Ditsai's phone was ringing off the hook. His wife, his brother-in-law, and his second uncle all called. Ditsai, was that report online you're doing? Have you lost your mind? His wife straight up smashed a bowl in the kitchen. Zhao Ditsai, are you stupid? What does it matter to you if they pay their employees? Now the whole internet is cursing you. Zhao Ditsai sat on the living room sofa, his phone popping up one comment notification after another, every single one of them insulting his ancestors. He called Lu Quan. Old Lu, we're finished. That report material was posted online. Lu Quan's voice was also trembling. I saw it. Who leaked it? Didn't the Industrial and Commercial Bureau say it would follow internal procedures? Who knows? Zhao Ditsai was so anxious he was breaking out in mouth sores. What do you think we should do? Issue a statement saying it wasn't our intention. Issue what statement? It's in black and white. The signatures and seals are all there. You're going to say it wasn't your intention? Then whose intention was it? A ghost's. Zhao Ditsai hung up the phone and sat alone in the living room, staring blankly at the ceiling. The phone was still ringing. He flipped it over and placed it face down on the coffee table. The last comment that popped up on the screen was, "You withhold wages and don't pay Social Security, yet instead of reporting yourself, you report others for high salaries." The next day, the number of people queuing at the entrance of Wanjiafu did not decrease, but instead increased. Data sent by Zhao Izhou showed that from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. that day, customer traffic had increased by 37% year-on-year. Many people didn't come to buy things. They specifically came to see the spectacle. Someone stood in front of the checkout counter, holding a phone to film a short video, saying to the camera, "This is the supermarket reported for paying salaries that are too high. Let's see if the employees are struggling or not." The camera panned over to a stock clerk in a blue uniform who was squatting in front of a shelf, straightening a bag of rice that had been knocked askew by a customer, then looking up and smiling at the camera. The top pinned comment in the section read, "This looks pretty struggling to me." The likes exceeded 10,000. Lu Ming finished watching the video in his office and turned off his phone. Wang Jiafa didn't need to do any advertising anymore. Influencers are naturally sensitive to traffic. As Wang Jiafu's popularity rose, flowers attract butterflies. People would naturally come to the door to film videos and do store reviews. The four bosses had spent 2,000 yuan on Industrial and Commercial Association membership fees to do a round of nationwide promotion worth millions for him. No matter how you calculated it, this deal was worth it. Shen Liwolkting, President Liu, that Zhao Ditsai from Ligu sent word through someone saying he wants to invite you to dinner to clear up the misunderstanding. I'm busy right now. Tell him to improve his own store service first. Also, Ma Jianxi from Jijiu said he was tricked into signing and it wasn't his original intention. Lu Ming thought for a moment. Tell him that no one held a knife to his throat when he signed. However, I don't hold grudges about this. Just use his brain when doing things in the future. Shunli noted down the words and put away her phone. By the way, there's one more thing. Shunli's tone became serious. Zhang Guanghua just called and said the Provincial Department of Commerce sent a research group down. It's related to that CCTV report, and there will be a symposium the day after tomorrow. Lu Ming looked up. A symposium? Yes, Zhang Guanghua's exact words were. Secretary Sun wants President Liu to be sure to attend. The symposium was set for the day after tomorrow in the meeting room on the third floor of the County Party Committee. But Zhang Guanghua couldn't wait until then. At 9 o'clock that evening, he called again. CEO Liu, are you free tomorrow morning? I'd like to meet with you before the symposium. There's some material I need you to look over in advance. What material? There was a 2-second hesitation on the other end of the line. The list of investment projects involved in that $7.8 billion intent agreement. The Provincial Research Group arrives the day after tomorrow, and Secretary Sun's idea is that we need to have a few presentable projects at the symposium. I'd like to ask for your advice to see which ones can still be saved. Lu Ming didn't say anything. Zhang Guanghua added, CEO Lu, I won't beat around the bush. Some projects on this list are real. It's just that the investors ran off and the funds didn't materialize. Help me take a look and see if there's any direction you're interested in. All right, come to the building at 9 tomorrow morning. Good. 9 o'clock the next morning. Zhang Guanghua walked into the meeting room carrying a black briefcase that was bulging. Lu Ming, Lu Yuan, Shun Li, and Lawyer Fong were already seated. CEO Lu. Director Zhang, please sit. Lu Ming stood up and poured him a cup of tea. Zhang Guanghua sat down and pulled a stack of bound materials from his briefcase, at least 50 pages long. The cover was printed with Yunming County Key Investment Projects Memorandum, 2024 to 2025. He pushed the material in front of Lu Ming and gave a bitter smile. CEO Lu, take a look. 42 projects, 5 major sectors, with a total book value of $7.8 billion in intent. He pointed to the numbers on the cover. That's the $7.8 billion CCTV reported. Lu Ming opened the first page and scanned the table of contents. The names of the 42 projects were densely packed across 3 pages, ranging from biomass fuel to smart logistics, from international automobile cities to cultural tourism and healthcare. Every name was grand and ambitious, and every intent amount was followed by a long string of zeros. He flipped through a few more pages, faster and faster, occasionally stopping for 2 seconds on a certain project, but more often skipping ahead. When he reached the 17th project, Lu Ming's finger stopped. Zhongyu International Automobile City, intent amount, $800 million. He glanced at the name of the interested party. Director Zhang, this Xinlong Shangda Group, its place of registration, is in the Cayman Islands? The smile on Zhang Guanghua's face stiffened. It was a foreign enterprise we connected with at an investment fair back then. Lu Ming didn't press further and continued flipping. 20 minutes later, he closed the last page. Director Zhang, to be blunt, 90% of these 42 projects are completely meaningless to me. Zhang Guanghua opened his mouth but didn't respond. He had long anticipated this result. Lu Ming tapped his fingers on the table twice. However, Zhang Guanghua's eyes lit up. Since I gave my word to you and Secretary Sun, I will naturally do my best to help within my capacity. Zhang Guanghua let out a long sigh of relief and nodded. CEO Lu, you're right. I truly am here to ask for your help. The Provincial Research Group arrives the day after tomorrow. If I can't present a decent, substantive investment implementation plan, the follow-up to that CCTV report will definitely come. When that happens, it won't just be my problem alone. Lu Ming didn't respond and reopened the materials. This time, he flipped through slowly. His finger stopped on the 8th project. Yuming Tying Mountains Cultural Tourism and Healthcare Characteristic Town. Location, Shishan Hot Spring Area, Plan Land. 820 mu, intent amount, $1.2 billion. Who was the original interested party for this project? Zhang Guanghua quickly leaned in to look. This is a Beijing-based cultural tourism real estate company called Shengjing Cultural Tourism. They came for 2 inspections after signing the framework agreement, but later said the economic situation was bad, and there was no further word. What's the current status of the land? The planned land has undergone preliminary leveling, and most of the 3 connections and 1 leveling are complete. But after the investor withdrew, it's been left idle, and quite a bit of grass has grown. Lu Ming folded the corner of that page. He continued flipping. His finger stopped again at the 23rd project. Agricultural Products Deep Processing Industrial Park, location, north of Shilapu Industrial District, plan land, 200 mu, intent amount, $280 million. And this framework is real. It was originally discussed with a central kitchen prepared dishes enterprise. Later, that enterprise ran into trouble itself, and there was no follow-up. Lu Ming folded another corner. He flipped through once more from start to finish. Finally, he stopped at the 36th project. Yunming County New Format Cultural and Entertainment Complex. Location: New City District Commercial Axis. Planned area: 15,000 square meters. Intent amount: 150 million. This? Zhang Guanghua scratched his head, a rare look of embarrassment appearing on his face. This, to be honest, I just threw it in there to make up the numbers. At the time, an owner of a KTV chain came for one inspection and signed a letter of intent. He left without even verifying the registered capital. It was purely for padding. Lu Ming folded this page as well. Director Zhang, of these 40-some projects, these are the 3 I can start working on immediately. The Cultural Tourism and Healthcare Town, the Agricultural Products Deep Processing Industrial Park, and a New Format Entertainment Complex. Zhang Guanghua's back left the chair as he leaned half his body forward. However, there are conditions. Zhang Guanghua's back, which had just straightened, slumped again. More conditions? If we didn't discuss conditions, it would seem fake. All previous intent agreements for these 3 projects are void, and Yunming Investment will re-sign the investment agreements. The framework will follow my plan, not what's written in the memorandum. Zhang Guanghua's lips moved. He originally wanted to say, "I need to report this to Secretary Sun," but he swallowed the words. The provincial research group was arriving the day after tomorrow. He didn't have time to go through the reporting process again. Besides, in all of Yunming County right now, the only person sitting across from him who could produce real money was this man. No problem. The framework will follow your plan. He paused and asked tentatively, "CEO Liu, is it convenient to disclose the scale of the investment? I need to have an idea for the symposium. We'll do an internal calculation of the approximate costs and framework in a bit, form a preliminary investment intent table, and send it to you before tonight." "That's wonderful, CEO Liu." Zhang Guanghua stood up and shook Lu Ming's hand firmly. "Then I won't delay your work any further. Keep the materials and contact me anytime if you need anything." Lu Ming stood by the window, watching Zhang Guanghua's car drive out of the plaza, turn onto the main road, and merge into the sparse traffic. Lawyer Fong Yu walked over and leaned against the window frame, her gaze also following the car as it disappeared around the corner. "The Provincial Research Group's symposium isn't an ordinary meeting," she said. "The people attending are high-ranking, and the questions they ask won't just stay on the surface. The wording in the investment agreement must be flawless, and your stance on-site must be measured." She turned her head to look at Lu Ming. "I'll go with you tomorrow." Lu Ming looked at her and nodded. "All right." He paused. "How is Li Man's divorce proceeding?" "The preliminary preparations are all done. The property list, chain of evidence, and complaint are all ready. Now we're just waiting for a court date." "Is she still at your law firm?" "Yes. She has nowhere else to go." Lawyer Fong Yu's tone was flat. "I had her set up a folding bed in the meeting room. She's helping organize files during the day, so she's not staying for free." Lu Ming picked up his phone, his gaze falling on the last folded page of the memorandum on the table. New Format Cultural and Entertainment Complex. Agricultural product processing and the cultural tourism town weren't difficult. What was difficult was the entertainment complex. This kind of business doesn't rely on bricks and mortar. It relies on people who can run the show. He dialed Li Man's number. "Hello, Li Man. How soon is the fastest you can assemble a team of your girls to come to Yunming County?" "Mr. Liu, does this mean you're willing to handle my matter?" "I said we'd talk about that later. Right now, we're discussing something else," Lu Ming said in a flat tone. "How soon can you assemble a team from the girls you have under you and get them to Yunming County?" Li Man took a deep breath. "It depends on what standard you need. If it's just for show or to stand at the podium, I can pull 7 or 8 people here in 3 days. But if you need them to be able to handle things independently and stay here long-term, it'll take me a week." "How many people?" 6 to 8 for the core team, and we can expand the peripheral staff at any time." Li Man paused. "But these girls were making over 10,000 a month when they were with me. What kind of compensation are you offering here?" "A base salary of 8,000, uncapped performance bonuses, and housing included. Yunmeng County? Yes. There was no immediate reply on the other end of the line. Lu Ming heard a very soft sigh. Mr. Liu, to be honest with you, these girls are used to living in Zhengzhou. If you ask them to come to a fifth-tier county, 8,000 isn't enough. It's not that the money isn't enough. It's that they can't get past the mental hurdle. Then you tell them this isn't for short-term gig. They're coming to build a project from scratch with me. The cost of living in Yunmeng County is 1/3 of that in Zhengzhou. For the same income, they can save twice as much here. The first batch of people to come will all be part of the management team later. Li Man was silent for 3 seconds. Lu Ming heard the slight creak of a folding bed spring on the other end of the phone, likely from her changing her sitting position. Fine. Her voice was a bit steadier than before. I'll start contacting them today, but I'll say this up front. I can't guarantee how many will actually come. Just do your best. The call ended. Lu Ming put down his phone and turned to look at the doorway. Shunli was standing there with a complex expression. You trust her? No, Lu Ming said. But she's useful. Chun Sitian's reconnaissance report had also been sent over. Lu Ming opened his computer and flipped through it page by page. 11 entertainment venues, each marked with area, average daily customer flow, consumption range, business status, and the owner's background. The format wasn't exactly professional, but the data was solid. It was clear she had visited each one in person, not just made it up while sitting at home. A 2-page handwritten summary was attached at the end. The handwriting was unexpectedly neat. The core viewpoint was simple. The existing entertainment industry in Yunmeng County was severely homogenized. Of the 6 KTVs, 5 had outdated equipment, and the 2 nightclubs were essentially just places for hostess services, with the average employee staying for less than 3 months. She wrote a suggestion at the end. It wasn't that county consumers weren't willing to spend money on entertainment. It was that they hadn't seen entertainment worth spending money on. She suggested using immersive escape rooms and murder mystery games as an entry point in the initial phase to first gather people, and then add more layers later. Lu Ming read this last part twice. Regardless of whether this entry point was correct or not, at least it was clear she had put in a lot of effort. He picked up his phone and sent a message to Chun Sitian. Report received. It's well written. Come to the company tomorrow. Chun Sitian replied instantly. Is this a formal job offer? Come first, then we'll see. Chun Sitian sent another message. Mr. Liu, I won't let you down. 7 o'clock in the evening. Lawyer Fong's draft of a speech arrived in his email. Lu Ming made a bowl of instant noodles in the office and read it while eating. The draft was not long, 2,000 words, with a clear structure. The beginning was a basic introduction to Yunmeng investment, listing completed projects, projects under construction, and the number of jobs created, with the reference number for supporting materials attached to every figure. The middle section was an overview of the framework for the 3 new projects. The Cultural Tourism and Wellness Town was positioned as the Tying Mountains Ecological Cultural Tourism Demonstration Zone, the Agricultural Products Deep Processing Industrial Park as a local agricultural products industrial base, and the Entertainment Complex as a benchmark project for new consumption scenarios in the county. The wording was restrained, without empty or cliché phrases. Each positioning was followed by 3 to 5 lines of quantifiable expected indicators. The last paragraph was a commitment, and the wording was very carefully chosen. Yunmeng Investment is willing to use the efficiency and responsibility of a private enterprise to cooperate with the county party committee and county government to do a good job in all aspects of project implementation, pursue maximum benefits within the framework of the rules, and contribute to the high-quality development of the county economy. After reading it, Lu Ming sent a message back to Lawyer Fong Yu. In the second section regarding the entertainment complex, change testing ground to benchmark project. I reckon the research team won't like hearing testing. They want to hear about certainty. Lawyer Fong Yu replied 10 seconds later. Changed it. Also, dress more formally tomorrow. You don't need a suit, but you can't be too casual. The research team is led by the Deputy Director of the Provincial Department of Commerce, surnamed Meng, 58 years old. He's retiring to a second-tier position next year, and he's come down with a mission this time. He needs a positive case study to close out his tenure. Lu Ming replied, "Received." Lawyer Fong Yu sent another message. "Are you nervous?" "What's there to be nervous about? He needs me even more than I need him." Lawyer Fong Yu didn't reply again. Lu Ming finished the instant noodle soup and threw the bowl into the trash can. The phone vibrated again. It was a message from Li Man. It was a screenshot of 6 girls' ID photos stitched together. They all looked to be between 22 and 26 years old, with regular features and different temperaments. Li Man added a note. "These 6 are the ones I've managed the longest. They have steady personalities, listen to instructions, and don't cause trouble. They'll arrive in Yunming County tomorrow at noon." Lu Ming replied, "Get them settled when they arrive. Don't rush to see me. Wait until I've finished the symposium." Understood. Lu Ming locked his screen, stood up, and walked to the window. The night view of a new city district was quite sparse, with scattered lights on in a few residential buildings. In the distance, the Wanjiafu sign glowed with a warm yellow light in the night. The plaza downstairs was empty, save for a silver van parked in the corner, with the red glow of a cigarette but inside. Lu Ming watched for 2 seconds, then pulled the curtains. On the other side, at Hu Kuei's company, the assistant stood at the office door, hesitating for a long time before speaking. "The province is coming for a symposium tomorrow, and Lu Ming will be there." Hu Kuei looked up. "How do you know?" "People in Zhang Guanghua's office said so. The invitation was sent out this afternoon." Hu Kuei leaned back into his chair, his gaze shifting to the window. The provincial research team, the county party secretary, Lu Ming, plus those 7.8 billion in bad debts. He suddenly realized something. After this symposium, Lu Ming's status in Yunming County would change from an ordinary private entrepreneur to a provincial-level investment benchmark. By then, the cost of trying to move against him wouldn't be something 1 or 2 dispatchers from the Power Supply Bureau could handle. Hu Kuei picked up the cigarette pack on the table. It was empty. He gripped the empty box, crushed it hard, and threw it into the trash can. "Go buy a pack of cigarettes." The assistant turned and left. The office quieted down, leaving only the ticking of the wall clock. Hu Kuei sat for a while, then reached out and pulled open the bottom drawer of his desk. Under a notebook was a business card, its edges yellowed and with clear creases, clearly having been taken out and looked at more than once. Hu Kuei flipped the business card over. There was only a handwritten mobile phone number on the back. The ink slightly bled. Only 1 line of text was printed on the front of the business card. Meng Zhaohua, Provincial Department of Commerce. Lawyer Fong Yu was 5 minutes earlier than him, wearing a navy blue suit skirt, her hair pinned up, and a pair of low-heeled black leather shoes on her feet. "You're quite good at timing your arrival," Lawyer Fong Yu said, standing at the stairwell with a brown folder tucked under her arm. "Haha," Lu Ming laughed. "I don't have the habit of arriving early." The two of them went up to the 3rd floor. The door to the conference room was wide open, and quite a few people were already seated inside. The long conference table was covered with dark green velvet, with porcelain cups and nameplates placed on top. 3 unfamiliar faces sat at the head of the table. The one in the middle had graying hair, wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and had a fountain pen and an open notebook in front of him. Meng Zhaohua. Lu Ming glanced at the nameplate and confirmed his identity. Sun Changming sat to Meng Zhaohua's left, his expression calm as steam rose from the teacup in front of him. Zhang Guanghua sat further out, his back held straight, with materials neatly stacked on the table. "President Liu, sit over here." Xiao Zheng poked his head out from the side door and led Lu Ming and Lawyer Fong Yu to seats near the door. The nameplate read, Yunming Investment Company, Limited Lu Ming. The seat next to it was empty, and the nameplate read, Legal Advisor Lawyer Fong Yu. Lu Ming sat down, and Lawyer Fong Yu took her seat beside him, placing her folder on the table. Meng Zhaohua raised his wrist to check his watch and whispered a few instructions to the 2 staff members accompanying him. 9 o'clock sharp. Sun Changming spoke up. "Director Meng, everyone is here. Let's begin." Meng Zhaohua nodded. Without any pleasantries, he flipped open his notebook. "Comrades, the background of the Provincial Department of Commerce's research team coming down this time is clear to everyone, so I won't repeat it." He spoke slowly, sounding exactly like a veteran official. For today's symposium, we won't do reporting materials or read from scripts. We'll just talk based on the facts. He paused, his gaze sweeping across the faces of those present before finally landing on Zhang Guanghua. Director Zhang, you go first. Out of the 7.8 billion, how much has actually been received? Where's the shortfall? And what are the reasons? Zhang Guanghua stood up. Director Meng, no need to be nervous. Sit and talk. Zhang Guanghua sat back down. His report was by the book. First, he admitted fault with a sincere attitude. Then he laid out the difficulties, listing 5 objective reasons, and finally presented 8 rectification measures. When Zhang Guanghua reached the 6th rectification measure, he mentioned Yunmeng Investment. Currently, our county has successfully introduced Yunmeng Investment Company Limited with a registered capital of 100 million yuan. Actual funds received have already exceeded 60 million yuan, involving multiple fields such as retail shopping malls, agricultural product processing, and cultural tourism healthcare. This is our county's largest and most substantial investment attraction in the past 5 years. One of Meng Zhaohua's staff, a young official in his early 30s, quickly wrote a few lines in his notebook. Yunmeng Investment. Meng Zhaohua repeated the name. Zhang Guanghua's Adam's apple bobbed. Yes. Meng Zhaohua drew a circle in his notebook. Secretary Sun, do you have anything to add? Sun Changming set down his teacup. Director Meng, there are indeed problems with rash progress and inflated figures in grassroots investment traction work. We do not evade this responsibility. But objectively speaking, the common predicament of county-level investment attraction across the province over the past 3 years isn't just Yunmeng County's problem. He paused and looked toward Lu Ming. Fortunately, we have seen some substantive changes this year. Comrade Lu Ming of Yunmeng Investment is a young entrepreneur from this county who returned home to start a business. He has already implemented several projects in the county and is currently advancing 3 new investment plans. I suggest letting him introduce them himself. Meng Zhaohua's gaze shifted over. This kind of gaze was not unfamiliar to Lu Ming. Comrade Lu Ming, Meng Zhaohua said, tell us about your situation. Lu Ming didn't stand up. He just sat up a bit straighter. Director Meng, there are currently 3 projects that have been implemented. First, the Nanxing commercial building, purchased in its entirety for an investment of 20 million, is currently used as the company headquarters. Second, Wanjiafu Shopping Plaza, which was fully acquired and underwent a complete upgrade and renovation. The total investment was 32 million yuan. It opened on the 8th day of the 3rd lunar month. As of yesterday, it has created a total of 180 jobs. Third, Chongqing Wood Industry. We have taken it over entirely and resumed production, re-employing over 60 original workers. Meng Zhaohua's pen paused. The young official beside him looked up at Lu Ming, then lowered his head to continue taking notes. The next steps of the plan have 3 directions, Lu Ming continued. First is the Taiying Mountains cultural tourism and healthcare town, connecting with the Shishan hot spring area, using ecological cultural tourism as the entry point. Second is the agricultural products deep processing industrial park, relying on local planting bases for the deep processing of agricultural and sideline products. Third is a county-level, new format cultural and entertainment complex to fill the gap for the local young consumer group. Meng Zhaohua put the cap back on his fountain pen. Comrade Lu Ming, we support young people who are willing to do practical work for their hometown. It's just that with so much money, you could presumably live quite well in Shanghai. Why did you think of giving back to your hometown? This question was unavoidable. Lu Ming thought for a moment and replied, it is precisely because I have seen the prosperity of Shanghai that I am more willing to build my hometown. I was born here and raised here, and I will be buried here in the future. If we aren't willing to build our own hometown, then who else can we count on? Meng Zhaohua didn't dwell on that topic, instead switching to another angle. The article in the provincial newspaper was well written, and the province also values what you are doing. Speaking behind closed doors, have you encountered any difficulties during the investment process? For example, competitors? The business environment? You can speak freely. Hearing this, the young official put down his pen. Lu Ming shook his head. None. The county attache's great importance to and supports us. Under the leadership of Secretary Sun, they even opened a green channel specifically for our investment projects, providing the greatest degree of convenience. MHM, Meng Xiaohua simply acknowledged. For the next 40 minutes, the topic shifted to specific implementation details. Meng Xiaohua's questions were very tricky. What was Wang Jiafu's profit model? What stage had the land-nature conversion for the cultural tourism town reached? Had the supply chain for the deep processing of agricultural products connected with any leading enterprises? For every question Lu Ming couldn't answer, Lawyer Fang Yu took over. The two of them cooperated seamlessly. Zhang Guanghua listened from the side, secretly giving them a constant thumbs up. He noticed that when Lu Ming answered questions, he never exaggerated data and never made promises he couldn't keep. This restraint was more effective than any flowery words. Meng Xiaohua wrote and drew in his notebook for a long time before finally closing it. Good. He took off his glasses and wiped them with a lens cloth. I basically understand the situation of Yunmeng investment. He put his glasses back on and scanned the tabletop. Only one nameplate belonged to an enterprise. He turned to look at Sun Changming, then at Zhang Guanghua. Secretary Sun, I have a question. Sun Changming leaned forward slightly. Please, go ahead. Meng Xiaohua crossed his hands on the table, his tone casual. Yunmeng County has a long history and was once a resource-based city. There are quite a few registered local enterprises. Why is Lu Ming the only enterprise representative at today's symposium? Are there no other people doing business in Yunmeng County?